Yeah. Let us know when we're on.
Crazy.
Oh, we're on. Welcome to another amazing series coming. We've got Dynamo New Dawn versus Galaxy Esports. Looks like we're already into draft already, getting straight into it this time. Galaxy Esports already banning away a Galio. I think we kind of expected this would be a ban from the get-go, right, Atomica?
Yeah. Hello. The hot drop into the draft straight away. Both teams clearly raring to go for this series. Expecting the Gallia ban, but also as well, like I believe it's Fearless still, right? So I mean, Fearless for the entire bracket. So it becomes to that 3D chess move of if you ban it now, you're gonna have to worry about it still in the next game. Whereas, like sometimes, if you do notice a one trick on the enemy team or someone like has a very big preference to play something, why not just give it to them game one, get it out of the way, and then you don't have to worry about it for the rest of the series, rather than continually, in my opinion, wasting these bans on kind of the same picks. But yeah.
Yeah, very true indeed. Fearless obviously can cause a lot of problems for a lot of teams, especially if your champion pool isn't as wide as you'd hope it'd be. That being said, they've got another set of champions being banned here. Poppy and Vi going to be taken away from Dynamo New Dawn, and the Mordekaiser going to be taken away by Dynamo New Dawn away from Galaxy Esports as well. Now, I kind of expected a mod to, again, it's one of those that we know that Kaiser Champ is kind of an OTP on that, but we've seen Kaiser Champ perform on quite a few champions now. So I am wondering whether they wanted to just immediately give that over Atomica, or whether you think it's a smart ban to take it away game one.
The Mordekaiser?
Yeah.
I think Mordekaiser is an interesting case because I think Mordekaiser as a pick kind of funnels you into a very heavy AD composition. And because you kind of want him to be your sole AP, because you don't want your opponents building a lot of magic resist, because he wants to basically be in the fight, dealing all that damage, dealing that constant magic damage per second. But you know, I think it's very 50-50. Maybe they just didn't want to see the Mordekaiser because they knew that if they had to play against the Mordekaiser and then 4 AD champs, it makes it very difficult to draft against, or to build against, sorry, because you need to commit something to this Mordekaiser.
Absolutely. And we have got the first set of champions being picked as well, the Neferi for Galaxy Esports. Now, could be a flex. We don't know. We could see Broken Arrow playing it in the jungle, or we could see it mid lane. We're not entirely sure just yet. Such a good pick for flexing. And then the Aphelios and Sejuani being picked for Dynamo New Dawn. We do know that Extra Flavor does love Sejuani, and that Sejuani is such an important pick as well. And then we are going to see the Tristana being picked up by Galaxy Esports. Another champion to flex Atomic. I feel like throughout most of these series, we're seeing teams just constantly love to pick flex picks to really throw their opponents off.
Yeah, and if I'm being honest, I kind of don't like it. Not because I'm an uber goober good coach, right? But from the fact of you're getting rid of a lot of picks that can really throw a spanner in the works later on in the series. Like right now, you're losing Neferi, you're losing the Neferi flex, which I mean I understand Neferi is a very good champion right now, but then the Tristana flex between bot and mid can be so strong, especially towards the latter parts of the series. Game 3, Game 4, where Dynamo New Dawn's mid laner has gone through quite a bit of their champion pool. You can start banning out specific counters to that Tristana in the mid lane or in the bot lane, and then this Tristana can then be elevated to that position. And I think just by dropping all of these flex picks in now, like even now Maokai, right? You're going to assume that this Maokai is going to the jungle, but Maokai could go support. You're dropping all of these flex picks in that you're also just overthinking your composition yourself. Whereas if you look towards the side of Dynamo New Dawn, they've got, Aphelios clearly going ADC, Rel clearly going support, and Sejuani clearly going jungle, right? They're not overthinking their composition for game one. They're just keeping it nice and simple, and they're just, keeping it 5v5, keeping it as simple as they can be. just for that first game to really ease themselves in. And then as they get later on, they can start throwing in flex picks of their own. And Galaxy Esports then are probably going to fold because they can't respond in tow. They have to be very obvious with who's going where.
Absolutely. I'm surprised to see the bans here from Galaxy Esports, to be honest with you, especially the Syndra. We know that it's a champion Line 6 can play incredibly well, but we also do know it's a champion that Goronim can play well as well. So I guess it's kind of a 50-50. Do you want to give it away, or do you want to ban it and hope that you don't get it stopped game one? It goes back to the fearless draft concept that you spoke about earlier, Tomica, where do you pick it and then it's not for the rest of the series, or is it a champion you want to hope that you can get later on in the series, you can comfortably get on, especially if you do go to a game 5 and you then need that to then push on. And I was a bit surprised to see the bans there, but we are going to see a pick being taken in the mid lane, and that is going to be an Orianna. Now, such a good pick, especially when you got the Rel, especially when you got the Sejuani. The ball delivery system is real here at Atomica, and Galaxy Esports are locking in their last 2 picks of the Nocturne and the Kennen. So, pretty solid comp in terms of the final picks. I think they've kind of got a little bit more of a strategy in terms of what they want to do and how they want to fight now. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's now become a lot easier to execute this composition. I think it's all, but the only issue with this easier to execute composition is that it becomes easier to counter or to understand what they are doing. So, like in this case, we'll take Galaxy Esports, right? I mean, one thing I do want to touch upon as well later on, just after my little tangent, is the ban of the Syndra. I think that's a really smart ban. But like now, you've got Kennen and Maokai, who are very obviously the engagers. You know, you got a Nocturne as well. Nocturne can just turn the lights out. But then it's Tristana and Neferi who are trying to dive into the backline, get those kills. And my only issue for Galaxy Esports is that if that initial engage doesn't go well, or say it only lands onto Ornn and Rel, or Sejuani and Ornn, whoever it is, if it's just a tank, what happens to their composition? You know, I think it completely falls apart in this front to back. And just to touch on this Syndra ban, like you were saying, I think it is such a smart ban in the idea of Line 6 we saw in Game 1 against Hollow Nightmares, which was obviously a series that me and you casted. Happy, you know, harking back to the good old days of Galaxy Esports versus Hollow Nightmares.
Yeah.
Wonderful night of casting. His Syndra was incredible in the laning phase. After the laning phase, I think we don't talk about it. But keeping that Syndra away from Goronim, meanwhile keeping it available for game 2, maybe game 3, like you said, or even just keeping it for game 5, it might be a strategy for Galaxy Esports to ban it away constantly to keep it available, so that then Line 6 has that comfort for game 5, has that ability to completely just shut down the game and play a champion that they're confident on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what I'm excited for this game is to see how Pedro Pitres and Perez perform. We did see in the Hollow Nightmares game that they really can be a force to be reckoned with. Now, what I am interested to see is how Pedro decides to operate in terms of, does he like to go in the aggressive again? We did see that a lot in the last series. We saw that he does like to roam a lot, does like to pair on the jungler, especially with a Nocturne as well. I think that you probably would see both probably both teams. You've got the Rel on the other side as well, but especially in this scenario, especially with the Nocturne looking for maybe an ult top lane, an ult mid lane, I would expect Pedro Pitres to play around that a lot this game. But I really do think that this game entirely is going to sit around how both teams operate around what they want their competitions to do, right? We know that Dynamo and Newdown are probably going to look for a big fight. They're going to look around the objectives. They're going to look for the big fights. They're going to look for the on-horn, going to look for the engage, especially with the ball delivery system like we spoke about. But then also, can Galaxy Esports make a pick? Can they jump in at the right time and all just collectively engage? Because that's where they need to be. They need to be with a Kennen, and they do have the better single target pick operation. But all in all, I think it just comes down to, can you control your strategy this game throughout the entire game?
Yeah, absolutely agree. I think Galaxy Esports, their single target potential pick composition is very strong. I think that Neferi, just as a champion right now with the reworked kit, is very strong. And honestly, I think this Neferi was actually going to go to Broken Arrow in the jungle for about 90% of this draft until the Orianna was locked in. I don't think that Neferi was being thought of in mid lane until Orianna was locked in for the side of Dynamo New Dawn. But I think that, okay, the single target for Galaxy Esports is really great, right? But is it enough when it comes to the tanks that have got it? Because when the tanks are left, because Sejuani deals a shocking amount of damage. Like, people forget that Sejuani is like actually a pretty decent damage dealer, right?
Oh, when that heart steal is stacked up, that heart steal really
so
begins to hurt quite a lot.
It's awful. And then also Ornn as well. Ornn is also like awful for damage. Like, everyone knows the meme about, LS, I think, said that, or one of the Korean casters said that it's the marksman, mage, assassin, tank, bruiser, Ornn, right? And
yeah.
And with the armor shred of Rel, like, even just if the tanks are remaining, they can probably still deal a decent amount of damage.
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
Galaxy Esports.
I mean, we did see Madridedio do a lot on the Ornn in that last series, right? We saw how a player can just considerably shut down someone with a champion like Ornn. And I think what's going to be important here is kind of how Broken Arrow decides to operate this early game. Because the Ornn is likely going to get shoved under. It's the cannon, right? He's ranged into the melee, and we know that's going to be incredibly difficult for the Ornn to deal with. But is Broken Arrow going to be aware that the Sejuani might look for that early gank, knowing that Kennan's going to push? Now, Kennen is difficult to gank. We know that, especially with his E ability as well, to get away quickly. If Ornn can time that E correctly, along with a pillar, and especially with the amount of CC that you've got on that single target, the Sejuani Q, you've got the W slot, and you've got the frozen tomb, frozen ice that comes up as well. I am really intrigued to see how both jungles operate their early game. Now, that being said, you've probably got to be expecting that Broken Arrow is more than likely going to look for a slightly later gank, right? I mean, most Nocturnes do, right, Atomica?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the Nocturnes are well pronounced for their really strong full clear, really strong ganking potential pre the Scuttle Crab. Because I think that what really helped Nocturne just as a champion was the jungle rework with the pets, and also with the Scuttle Crab being spawning at 330 now instead of 315. That was such a massive change for Nocturne, that because of how strong his clear is and his lifesteal is on the clear, it means that he can just turn up to your lane like full HP and just go, I'm here now. Hello. But please burn flash. Like, I am gonna kill you otherwise. So it's so crazy. And then he can just he can burn your flash and then just waddle off and take the Scuttle Crab. It's crazy how just this champion is post the rework. And Sejuani is gonna find it difficult to keep up with this Nocturne in the early game, I feel.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to operate it so early on. Looks like we do have a pause, though. We'll find out why that's going to happen. I believe the top D seed for Galaxy Esports, unfortunately, Kaisercham has DC'd. So we've got to pause early, hopefully not too long, but it does give us another opportunity to talk about how this bot lane battle is going to go. Atomica, I am so excited. We did see Pedro Pitres and Perez are such a dominant force together to be operated against. That being said, Darkabasher and Robbie Nater, if I see Robbie Nater on the Ezreal late game, I'm going to get very excited, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and as well, I'm not gonna lie, I love Aphelios as a champion. I know I sit here on this stream and I say, I love this champion, but Aphelios, I love Aphelios. He's so cool. He's such a cool ADC. Like, I'm sorry, giving an ADC the capability to do everything, but then to give it the skill floor and the skill ceiling to be good at doing everything, like you have to have a certain level of skill to operate the champion. Like I think there was a meme going around. I don't know if people here that watch are big into the pro league scene, but when Upset was on Aphelios and the Chinese League of Legends viewers were watching the LEC, and they said that Upset had had worse gun control than America. Like being able to like have memes like that, and being able and you know, these professional players, even professional players, are being called out for not being good enough at a champion. I think I think that just means that the champion is cool and
yeah, 100%.
and rewards big skill.
I think it kind of like goes back to the time where, like, to be a good jungler, you had to play Lee Sin well and be effective in it. And I kind of feel like it used to be a little bit like that with the Ezreal in the ADC, but I feel like you kind of know how, you need to know how to play Aphelios now to be a good ADC, right? We know that.
Yeah, it's
and we will be getting into game now. Looks like both teams are going to posture slightly more defensively in the early game. So Ronnie might be just looking for an early ward into the enemy jungle. But there might be an invade, however, though. There have been spotting a ward, though, Tomek, just so... Yeah. Just small little ward, but looks like they are going to back off now. Dynamo New Dawn are just going to start backing away from this in the... Dynamo New Dawn are backing away now. I think Extra Flavor are pretty much hoping they can maybe take this blue buff. Now, do you reckon the Sejuani will split the map?
He has to, and this is the Galaxy Esports playbook. They did this. I am 99% sure they did this game one of their first series as well, or the first series that we casted. And just if Dynamo New Dawn watched the series, they would know this happened. So
yeah, absolutely.
And you can see as well, Dynamo New Dawn have responded well. They put a ward on the blue buff, so they know where they've broken it. Well, they should know the broken arrow isn't coming back. Isn't coming back through. He's gonna steal the blue, and then he needs to split the map. And if he can split the map, that means this Kennen is even further isolated than what he wants to be. And it can lead to this Kennen being in a really rough position. Like, yeah, this could be terrible for Kaiser Chan.
100%, it really could be. But it looks like Extra Flavor is actually going to opt to split this map in the early game. Now, we mentioned it earlier, right? And you touched on it there, how Kennen could be isolated in this early game, and we expect him to push. And that's kind of what's happening here. Right? We know it's going to happen, so I do expect Extra Flavor to push up in this early game. That being said, already in this early game, Goran is taking a lot of damage from line 6 here. Now, I think you mentioned about maybe Dynamo New Dawn having more in the last series, and I think you can kind of expect that they'll have to play aggressive with the Galaxy Esports, especially in the early game. That's exactly what they're going to do in the bot lane. Robbie Nate taking a lot of damage, and line 6 almost taking down Goran. That was a lot of damage from the dog.
Yeah, and it's the Galaxy Esports playbook. Early game is just pure chaos, and it's not what Dynamo New Dawn want. Dynamo New Dawn want this controlled early game. They want to see, they would be more than happy with the game state being as it is. 0 kills for either side, you know, just scaling into that late game. But Galaxy Esports, like they did against Hollow Nightmares, just making this early game as chaotic as possible to really suit them, as we see now the Maokai going in.
Yeah, Pedro Petras is looking to engage with Darkabasha. Taking a lot of damage though, Pedro Petras, but he's going to flash out his Durrell. Darkabasha just surviving, but there's a fight now in the mid lane. Extra Flavor and Goran looking to capitalize. The line 6 stepping a little bit too close towards this Orianna, but they are going to be able to just get out of it so close. But On is going to look to engage with Kennen in the top lane. DJ Stino is going to do a little bit of damage, but it looks like Extra Flavors now here. It's capitalised on Galaxy Esports, stepping a really too close. Perez, he's falling solo. He's going to take him down though. Getting the kill on the rail. Robbie Nate now picking up a kill on Crusader as well. Pedro Petras is going to fall. Can Broken Arrow do anything here? Robbie Nate might be able to walk away from this. Doesn't have flash available. Flash going in from Broken Arrow. Doesn't actually manage to pop the spell shield in time. Robbie Nate is now following down this Nocturne. Extra Flavor doing so much damage as well as the Q comes out, and it's a double kill for Nocturne.
Broken Arrow. I mean that's crazy from Broken Arrow, right? Like just knowing the champion's damage, just to be able to turn around to these 2 low HP enemies and just go, Okay, cool, right. I'm gonna throw my Q at you, and you're gonna die. I think it was a Q auto attack, like the funny spinny arrow, like, you know, like spinny circle attack, that actually caught Robinator out, because I think his positioning was quite good in terms of, well, obviously it wasn't, but I thought, like, if there wasn't the passive, then his positioning was quite okay, he was quite safe, and he could just kind of whittle away at the Nocturne. But the scything attack meant that Robinator falls, picks up the double kill for Nocturne, and it happened. Literally, it happened. I said, Nocturne just has the first piece, just turn up. I know it was a split map, and he just came around the back, but he turned up, and he went, okay, I'm gonna force you to burn your flash. Robinator burned his flash, a fight came up a minute later, and Broken Arrow was able to, you know, take control as well as Goranim was going to go very low in the mid lane.
Yeah, Goranim is falling very low. Q's in the line, it's falling really low as well. Unfortunately, the W comes out and it's going to just take him down at one of the slowest under a HP. But Pedro Pietrangelo is not finished. Broken out of here, wrapping around the back. The tree's falling incredibly low, but Perra's going to pick up the kill. And this Tristana is finally on the board.
I mean, that's just a complete tilter for Goranim, 1 HP on the Neferi, and Neferi doesn't go down. But then we see the bot lane fight transpire over a ward. I love the enthusiasm from Darker Basher, but dying for a control ward is, I don't think it's worth it. And you completely lose now. I mean, Nocturne now is just soloing the Drake. Sejuani's got great setup for Grubs, as we do see the Tristana look to engage on Robinator.
Robinator takes a little bit of damage, but I think that's kind of the ploy if you're going to play Tristana, right? You know they're going to be aggressive, you know they're going to push, but Perez may push it a little bit too far. Rocket Jump not available just yet. Darker Basher look maybe to hit that Q. Pedro Pietrez is here to protect his ADC, and I think we saw that a lot, didn't we? We saw that a lot in the last series that Galaxy Esports plays, that Pedro Pietrez is everywhere you go, Atomica.
Yeah, Pedro Pietrez is just absolutely, he literally is everywhere. He's like the all-seeing man, as we do see the Neferi ultimate pop, but it's... Oh,
he's going to jump down, Goranim on the tower! The line 6 is falling so low, going to take a second tower shot, and Goranim's going to pick up the kill, and line 6 from nowhere. It looks so promising, but just takes too many tower shots.
Yeah, Galaxy Esports. I mean, we saw this on, was it the Aurelia Game 5 against Hollow Nightmares, where the Aurelia was like 2-7 because he just went in and he did not, in respect, he did not know the champion's limits, but he also did know the champion limits, right? And picking up these kills, but also giving over the kills, especially to someone like Orianna, who hard outscaled you, is so crazy to me that you're willing to take these trades just to make this Orianna not farm.
Yeah, I think we've seen a couple of times where Lions can play a little bit too aggressively at times, but speaking of aggression, I'm really enjoying how Pedro Pietrez is playing around Broken Arrow here. Now, I said this the other bit expected it, but there's maybe a little bit too much aggression from the dog here. Line 6 is going to be caught out. In comes the Shockwave. Going to be able to use the untargetable ability to dash out and flash out, but in comes the darkness. Sejuani follows solo. Pedro Pietrez is going to intertwine with the roots and take down extra Blazer.
He's there again, it's Pedro Pietrez. He's just all over the map. He's reading Dynamo Nudon completely like an open book. Available to be there in the mid lane, ready to cover his mid laner. Line 6 had the flash available and ready, and then the darkness coming in, the Maokai coming in. Pedro Pietrez right now is just all over Dynamo Nudon.
Yeah, I think Pedro Pietrez is really showing how dominant a support really can be if you play around your team. And this is something I'd love to see more from Darker Basher here. Now, we have seen Darker Basher look to roam a little bit, but I think that's something Pedro Pietrez does so well. We see that he is able to be such a dominant force and help out his team wherever it's needed. And Line 6 going to engage with Goranim again under towers. Oh, Goranim falling so low now. Going to just die though as the Ignite pops off, and that is exactly what Line 6 wanted to do earlier, but didn't quite do it, and this time he does.
Yeah, absolutely. And the new Neferi kit, able to just become untargetable for like a split second as the
because Maokai might fall here. The tree's falling incredibly low. Pedro Pietrez is again by Robinator. He's a blasted by Darker Basher. Oh, he's gonna just miss though by Robinator. The Perez might be in trouble here. Darker Basher and Robinator could look for a dive in the bot lane. There's gonna be a solo kill in the top lane in the meantime. Kazacham taking down the Ornn, and it's chaos across the map, Atomica.
Yeah, Kaiser Champ getting revenge for game number 1 against Hollow Nightmares and how he had that absolute abysmal game into an Ornn. This time, though, picking up the solo kill, as that Fated Ashes item, able to just deal an extra burn.
Oh, it's not finished. There's more chaos here as well. Line 6 is falling low now as well. Taking inside with the darkness is here to save the day. Perfectly timed spell shield. And down goes Orianna. Broken Arrow gonna be able to flash out perfectly. And that was an incredible move. And there's another fight in the bot lane now. Dark Bash and Robinator look to take down the Tristana. Pedro P. Treadmill falling low as well. And oh my god, Atomica. It's a repeat. There's chaos everywhere. But this time, it's not Galaxy Esports causing it.
Yeah, it's Dynamo New Dawn looking for plays, feeling like this game is going way out of their grasp, feeling like they need to start making plays on the map, despite the fact their composition doesn't spike until 2 items each. You know, Aphelios and Orianna, 2 very well-known scalers into the game. As we see Pedro Petresi's just got a ball. I mean, it's a 1-for-1. Okay, that makes sense. 1-for-1.
Hail Mary of a play, right? We saw a Hail Mary of the play there in the bot lane, and you're absolutely right. Dynamo New Dawn taking way too many fights to think they have the opportunity, to think they caught someone out just when they're low, just when they think they can get the pick. But they're not the pick composition. We said this in the early game, we said this in the draft, Chronicle, we said Galaxy Esports have such a good pick composition, and if they can play around their strategy correctly, they will win this game. And that's exactly what they're doing. Dynamo New Dawn are taking fights when they're not grouped. They know they're a composition that will do incredibly well around objectives, especially if they collectively engage. And unfortunately, they've been picked off too many times. And when you're against the pick composition, you don't want to overstep.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a really big thing to point out with this, as we see pings going down towards the bot side of the map, as the groups go towards Galaxy Esports, is these plays in the mid lane. Oh, has no one, like, not to sound like I'm flaming here, but does no one on Dynamo New Dawn press their tab key and seen that Orianna has built 0 AP items? She's got 2 glowing moats, a Tear of the Goddess, and plated steel caps. Right? She has no extra AP other than her base stats. She's a level down on line 6. It's just crazy that they're constantly trying to force plays into this Orianna when she has no like extra AP that can deal big damage. Robinator's the way to go, but we see the
Comes another fight here coming around the darkness going on there. Robinator falling down below now. He's taken down by Broken Arrow. Line 6 off falling low. Pedro P. Dress gonna get taken down by Gordon. Back goes in the dog low. Jack Sebastian off falling low. Picked up by the Desirius. Extra Flavor's going to down to Perez, and it started well for Dynamo New Dawn, but when that tree came falling in, the darkness collapsed, everyone went down.
Yeah, they just led Dynamo New Dawn straight to their deaths. It was the classic bait and switch, really. They baited them in, they let them think that they had the river control. Line 6 had the push in mid lane, was able to get behind. I believe it was Robinator, Darker Basher, and Extra Flavor, with Goronim having no priority in the mid lane as the second Drake goes over to Galaxy Esports. And it's crazy to me how Dynamo New Dawn kind of thought that they could play that without their mid laner. And they really need to start just trying to slow this game down, trying to play to their composition strengths, and waiting for these 2 items, because right now, unless Robinator can base free hit the entire fight, these fights are lost. Every fight they take is lost.
Yeah, I think we've seen that Robinator can be a player that can carry games, but it's whether Galaxy Esports can take him down, and that's exactly what they're looking to do here. Robinator going to try walk away from the tree, but the tree does a lot of damage. Perez going to rocket jump in now. In comes a lot of damage from Robinator, trying to counter him, and down goes Perez. Robinator taking him down. Don't take down the tree though. Pedro P. is going to take him down, and Kazicham's fighting DJstino in the top lane as well. That was a lot of damage by the Aphelios.
That was a crazy ultimate, and there's the skill that I was talking about before. Knowing what you're trying to
In comes the darkness, Atomica, and the tree is following up. Broken Arrow is going to look to fear, and Darker Basher will be taken down. And it's not finished yet though, because Kardasham's going to look to engage an extra flavor here. Q hitting, the W hit, can't get the last auto attack just off yet to stun. And he's just going to walk away, but the grubs aren't available, and they're stuck in a difficult position here. In comes the on-horn. It's going to just miss though, perfectly timed. And Lance is going to walk away, not just yet though, engaging back up to DJstino. And the ult is going to miss by Extra Flavor, and he's gone from bad to worse.
Dynamo New Dawn just on 2 different wavelengths there. It was a brilliant horn by Steino, I think, just to really force out the reset as the dive. Like, that's just the cleanest dive I've seen from Galaxy Esports. takes down Extra Flavor, and it just, like I was saying, or like you said, sorry, Hampy, it just goes from bad to worse, and now Goranim's being collapsed upon.
Goranim is being collapsed by Broken Arrow, intertwine the roots, locked down, and down you go, Goranim. You are not walking away, and Pedro Petres, Broken Arrow are dominating this game.
Yeah, this really feels like a solo queue game where, as the ADC, you're just typing into your team chat, please stop feeding, guys. Like, I can carry the game, just stop dying all over the map. And it's so difficult to watch because Robbie Nater can definitely carry this game. He's heading towards that Infinity Edge second item, and as soon as he gets that on top of the Yuntal arrows, he will deal so much damage. But the thing is, can he get there before this Neferi? Well, Neferi's got 2 items now, but can he do anything before this Neferi just wants it?
But line 6 might be in a little bit of tricky position. You don't want to be there just yet, but it's doing so much damage, and Robbie Nater's going to get taken down. They'll Ignite just rocking around the side with the push from the dive, which is now going in as well. All coming in by well, and says Line is going to have to walk away now. Line 6 is doing a lot of damage now as well, and down goes Darker Basher. And Dynamo New Dawn thought they had the pick. They thought they could finally take down the Neferi. But the rest of GLX Esports were there. It was the perfect bait, Atomica.
Yeah, and this is where the FF vote goes up because that was crazy. Line 6 just TPs in. You thought they, oh, not TP, sorry, he used the Hex portal, I should say. Straight behind enemy lines to Dynamo New Dawn. Walked at Robbie Nater, just used the untargetable for 1 second to dodge any form of CC or slow from Extra Flavor and Darker Basher, and then just sat on top of the AD carry, on top of the Aphelios, and Robbie Nater could do the equivalent of nothing. And couldn't be doing damage, as we see again.
The play of the pack is incredible. Line 6 is going to be able to walk away again unless Extra Flavor can get one more lockdown. He can't hop over the wall with the Eviscerate. And he can't do anything because Kaiserchamp's here as well. Robbie Nater's going to fall low. And Robbie Nater cannot get away from any of GLX Esports. It's a double kill now for Kaiserchamp. And GLX Esports are really asserting their dominance in this series so far at all.
Yeah, this is the craziest early game I think I've seen from GLX Esports, and we witnessed the Game 5 stomp against Hollow Nightmares. This has just been, I think, an absolute masterclass in support from Pedro Petres, to be honest. Completely outmaneuvered Darker Basher on the map. Has just had such an impact for this team. And as much as people will probably say in the chat, but Line 6 is doing all the damage. You have to consider the vision setup that Pedro Petres is getting, the vision denial that Pedro Petres is getting, even though he only has 17 vision score. But like just the picks and the movements on the map in the early game to enable this Neferi to be in a position to do this, it has been incredible. Because if the Realm matched on any of those engages, I think that this could be a completely different game.
Yeah, absolutely. And our concern, right, was about Line 6. Can he pull any ability out of that laning phase and take it into out of the laning phase? And he's done that. He's done exactly what we wanted him to do. I think he's learned from his mistakes. He's in a difficult position now, though, however. The commentator curse might be coming in now. Line 6 is going to get locked down by the realm. The Oriana coming in as well and taking down Line 6. Line 6 is not going to die just yet, though. The Drake is going to be taken though by the rest of Galaxy Esports. Galaxy Esports will take down the Oriana. Line 6 is still somehow alive, Atomica. Darker Basher is not looking to engage. And in comes the dog. The Eviscerate is going to be able to be so perfectly timed. Everything is not the Eviscerate, it's falling apart. It's such an unbelievable ability.
Aphelios died in the mid lane as well to the Ken, and like Ken just walked at him because Dynamo New Dawn was so focused on protecting this Oriana in the side lane that this Aphelios was left alone, and now again Dynamo New Dawn are really paying for their mistakes of trying to play a late game composition in the early game.
Diving now, the Rift House pushing on the tower. Darker Basher gonna fall. Line 6 finally gonna get taken down the tower, doing the last little tick of damage necessary to take him down. And Kaiserchamp's pushing the mid lane, and it's not looking good for Dynamo New Dawn.
It really isn't. This is them teetering on the edge of absolute disaster. Less than 20 minutes, and already Galaxy Esports are knocking at the base, and they do the very smart play. They don't take the inhibitor. I think it's become more of a well-known fact now that if you take an inhibitor before 20 minutes, then you don't have the pressure to end, and you're just giving your opponents free farm. So just keeping themselves from taking the inhibitor, just taking the tower, leaving that inhibitor exposed to wait until a more opportune time and a better time to take that inhibitor. Very smart play from Galaxy Esports, and to be honest, you could say that about every single play that they've made. Very smart play. There's probably been one or two questionable ones, but the majority of them are fine. It's fine. It's engaged now.
There's another engage in the mid lane, and Perez and Pedro Pitres are showing why they're such a force to be reckoned with in the bot lane. They're not stopping for anyone, and they do not want to take down anyone but Dynamo and New Dawn. DJStino now falling low to the Kennen. Kazachan doing so much damage, and this is an Ornn, by the way. Jack Shaw just doing nothing because his Kennen does so much damage. And what do you do if you're Dynamo and New Dawn, Atomica? What do you do?
Nothing. You can't do anything. That's the thing. That's the crazy thing, is that you can't do anything. Your champions aren't online yet. They have they have 2 range champs. Your Sejuani's Heartsteel stacks are at 55. You know, your Orianna's built Seraphs first rather than any form of damage, as Dark Bash looks for an engage, but it misses because the Neferi can just go invulnerable, you know, completely.
There's only another fight though in the middle, and DJStino's going to try and engage, and he just can't do anything. Instantly taken down, instantly shoved away. Line 6 now looking to take the bot in him, and Dynamo New Dawn can't do anything. Pedro Pitres is going to look to take away any vision they want, and Dynamo New Dawn are starving. They want something, they want the miracle, but I don't think it's going to come to them yet, Tomato.
It's not Hampy, and I don't think it will in this game. I think this is a game that you play out, you have a little bit of fun, you just go for the miracle engage, and then you have a little bit of laugh as there's a shot.
There's a miracle engage hoping for it there, and it's not going to be enough. There's a broken arrow for the engage. Take down the Orianna, nearly one shot. The Aphelios, Ornn can try to do anything, and he might take down Pedro Pitres and broken arrow, but Perez is still here. It's a nice double kill by DJStino, but the inhibs are being taken down, and this Ornn can't do anything just yet. Perez will look to maybe push in the rest of the wave, and unfortunately it looks like it's going to be game 1 maybe soon going to Galaxy Esports.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Perez just kind of just sit here and take both of the inhibs right in front of Stino's face. Not really much he can do. He's got anything to want to back away. I think smart decision as the Aphelios is coming back up, but it's so, like, that's a dive under 2 Nexus turrets that Galaxy Esports didn't have to do. And it was awful for them because Ornn was ready and waiting. The Orianna shockwave, I mean, it was used obviously earlier, but it would have been available. The Rel ultimate to keep them all trapped under the Nexus turrets. And still, they come out 4 for 4. They are that far ahead in this game against this scaling composition that they could dive Nexus turrets and come out 4 for 4. As we see Line 6 looking to find extra flavor, not going to find him, going to walk away as he flashes away. And
as well. Line 6 now throwing the dogs into extra flavor, and this is a tank Sejuani. We said how much damage Sejuani can do, but that Heartsteel has not stacked enough, and unfortunately you're going to get absolutely rinsed by this dog. The surrounding squad is doing so much damage, and it's going to be a free Atacana as well, and it looks like Galaxy Esports might end this game in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I think it's the ruin of Atacana, right? So they even give the 25% bonuses to each trait that they get. So that makes it even worse and even harder to play for Dynamo New Dawn. They had no way to contest this Atacana, and you know, maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna get fired as a color caster because I swear every time I say Galaxy Esports composition, not looking the greatest. They just stomp. And it's kind of crazy to me as we do see a fight going on in the top.
There's one top field there. DJStino trying to do his best to take down someone. He took down 2 earlier. Does take down the Kennen as well. Going to hit the on onto Perez, but he's not able to capitalise on that. And Line 6 again is pushing in every wave that he sees.
Yeah, I mean, it's the correct thing to do, right? Just pushing every wave, force a response from the side of Dynamo New Dawn, and they can't just send one because they will die. And that means it's a free Hex Tech sold. It's soul point, by the way, at 23 minutes, soul point. Dynamo New Dawn looking on the top side of the map. Ult missing galore.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it earlier. Dynamo New Dawn. I think when Robbie Nater missed ult in the bot lane when they looked for the dive. I think all game, you said it earlier. I don't think Dynamo New Dawn have quite been on the right page, and it's unfortunate. it can happen, and we do know that they are playing without their regular top laner. Legend Mont isn't available, and they are looking to play with PGSC this game. So it does happen, not being able to play with someone that you do regularly play with, especially in your team. That being said, the rest of the team really need to bond together, because in the next game, they really, really need to perform. Otherwise, it could be a 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, and to be honest, if I'm going to lay down an early call, I think this will be a 3-0 sweep, because I don't know how Dynamo New Dawn, because you come into this game, right, and you pick yourself a composition, you have every champ available, right, and you pick this sort of composition. It's very easy to execute composition, and you're being absolutely blasted by this composition that looks like it's been pulled straight from solo queue, and they've been like dared to run it in a competitive 5v5 environment. It's crazy, and the fact that they're being completely demolished like this as we see the engage onto line 6, but it's not going to go
I
anywhere.
don't think line 6 necessarily cares, because in comes the darkness. Yoriano is going to hit. The Broken Heart does not care. He will tank everything because he knows the rest of Galaxy Esports are there. Dakabasha is going to take down one of the Galaxy Esports players. Kazacham though is going to run towards his own, and the online is can't saving grace. He's not going to be able to save anyone here, because down goes the Orn, and Galaxy Esports are pushing for the tower now as well. The Rel goes back in, trying to do anything to save the day, but in comes the rest of Galaxy Esports. Line 6 doing so much damage, and that is going to be game 1 going over to Galaxy Esports.
Well deserved, thoroughly well deserved from Galaxy Esports. Just came into the game, executed their composition to perfection, executed their game plan to perfection, and just overall dominated the map, dominated the game, and deservedly took game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing phenomenal from the outset, really, and I'm excited to see what Galaxy Esports can do in the rest of the series. And we might see Dynamo New Dawn just maybe bring it back. We hope so. We would love a banger of a series. But we're gonna take a 5-minute break now, guys. So we'll be back real soon. Don't go anywhere, because this is gonna be a really, really good series. and we are back. Hopefully for an absolute banger of a game two. Galaxy Esports absolutely dominating game one. Dynamo New Dawn got a couple of picks early game, but we've seen how dominant Galaxy Esports can be in this early game, and they did exactly that. And it's looking like Dynamo New Dawn might need a slightly different strategy this game, Atomica.
Yeah, they absolutely do. And to be honest, I'm gonna be the depressing Nancy here. I don't think that this game is gonna be much better for Dynamo New Dawn. I think Galaxy Esports early game is just for a team that comes. I know I praised them for getting number one, coming in, keeping it nice and easy with their draft, a very easy to execute composition. You've lost quite a lot of that now, right? So what you have to do is you have to either be smart and adapt, or you have to really stick to your morals, stick to what got you to where you are in Zenith League, and you need to just stick to it. You can't draft a late game comp and go for these early game plays and try and match Galaxy Esports. That's their domain. That's theirs, right? Early game is completely theirs. If you want to play for the late game, do that. But it just is wild to me, and I'm going to be depressing because I think Galaxy Esports early game is that strong that they can then snowball that into the mid game and just get a win like they did with game one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the draft is starting now for game number 2. So we'll see that up any second now, hopefully. And I am excited to see what they actually do here. Now, we do actually see that the bans are coming in. Galaxy Esports are taking away the Galio as a prediction and the Wukong as well, Atomica.
What? Galio banned again? No way. No. To be serious, again, Galio, it's that thing, isn't it? It's that all important. All right, okay. Galio may counter your mid lane's champ, like your champion pool for mid lane, because from what we saw Line 6 play, it was a lot of melee champions or melee range champions, right? But just give it to them for one game. Like you then don't have to worry about it for the rest of the series. Literally, the rest of the series, you don't have to worry about this silly pick, right? You might lose the game because of it, but then you don't have to worry about it for 4 games or up to 4 games.
Absolutely. And we're going to see Dynamo New Dawn kind of do the same thing and take away the Mordekaiser as well. Now, again, is it one of those where you just kind of let Kaiser Cham have this in the other game? Yeah, we know that he's a champion likes to play, but not necessarily the favourite for Kaiser Cham. He's going to lock in a Cho'Gath early, which, again, looking for maybe that more dominant pick that he can then take into late game as well. We saw it with the Kennen, likes to play the aggressor. Kaiser Cham picking up a slightly different, a little bit of a different champion. Going to look to maybe play it a little bit slower. And look for the right opportunity in the late game, which, for me, I'm a little bit surprised at Atomica because we normally see Galaxy Esports like to play aggressively, and Cho'Gath doesn't really scream that to me.
No, it doesn't. You are correct. Cho'Gath does not scream aggressive early game to me. However, you have just witnessed Dynamo New Dawn draft a completely late game scaling composition. You might as well have some insurance. And I think that's what the Cho'Gath provides. It's just late game insurance, complete Goomba tank. Like, he's not even tanky in terms of statistics. He's just tanky in terms of HP, which Riot Games have proven or have basically told us time and time again that they want to get rid of HP health or max or like HP damage. Like, we saw the removal of Giant Slayer, the passive on Lord Dominic's Regards. Cut down, I think, got nerfed as well. Like a little bit, it got reduced, the extra damage, and you're just noticing that all of these items that primarily were used against high HP targets like Sion, Cho'Gath, Sejuani, those sorts of champs, has been completely nerfed into the ground. So
yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you're right about the late game comfort. I think that'll be something that, they've got that insurance now, as you said. And we are going to see a Mumu and a Corki. Now, this has got to be Robbie Nater on Corki, hasn't it? It has to be Robbie Nater. I'd be very surprised to see... I'd be very surprised to see Gorinim on this. We know Gorinim tends to be a bit more of a control mage player. I would very much expect this to be Robinator, but it could be a flex for all we know. We don't know. We're not sure yet. But Broken Arrow is on a lock in the Viego. We know Broken Arrow likes to play these slightly more aggressive, these bruiser type junglers that can just really dominate any single fight. We saw it last game with Nocturne. We might see this game on the Viego, especially if he can get a reset in those fights. The Minio are going to be locked in as well for Galaxy Esports, and the final pick of this first set of picks is going to be the Anar being picked up. Now, maybe DJ Stino's going to maybe play a little bit more aggressively against Kaisercham in this game.
You'd hope so with Nah. If you don't win lane, you are just useless. Yeah, okay,
absolutely.
you are an R bot, but like you know what I mean? It just seems so silly. Nar is such a weird pick, especially in the composition that you've got so far. Corki, Amumu, unless like the Giga Stomp of game number 1 is completely mental boom Dynamo Nudon, and they're now just going, you know what, screw it, full Yordle comp.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're going to see another set of bans coming in now. The Vayne and the Kaiser is actually going to be taken away from Galaxy Esports, clearly thinking that Perez is going to be quite the aggressor. And, we did see how dominant Perez can be, especially with Pedro Pitrez and how much of an aggressive support he is. But then Galaxy Esports are going to take away the Syndra away. Now, both junglers, both mid laners, can actually play the Syndra very well. Gorinim definitely a favourite. So I'm not necessarily surprised to see that ban being taken away. And the final ban for Galaxy Esports is actually going to be the Brom as well. The pick, however, the second round for Dynamo Newton is going to be a Pantheon being locked in as well. Now, is this a Pantheon support?
Yeah, I like that. I really like that. I really do. I think that's a really good pick because Milio doesn't really come into his own. Like he doesn't really become an annoying little rat until level 6. Like a proper, like he's a bit annoying in the early game, right? Level 1 to 3, he can boot you away. He can give shields that deal extra damage. He can give healing that gives extra range, right? It's a bit of an annoying rat champion. But then you've got Pantheon who just comes in and that small extended trade healing that comes from the Milio W can just be completely cancelled out by Pantheon. Hello, Q, max stacks. I'm dealing 400 damage for 0 reason. Unlucky.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like Danny and Nudon are now actually going to maybe try and pick the slightly more aggressive comp in this game, which is what we like to see. Right? We like to see them trying a different strategy. I said that earlier as before we even got into the game. Danny and Nudon need to try something different. But just to say something different is going to be locked in. It looks like Gorinim's going to play another control mage as we expect. A little bit more safer this time. Now, I really like this. The reason I like this so much, now, it's likely it's going to be against the Lux. And Line 6 likes to be aggressive. We know this. And playing a champion like Xerath can be really, really good, especially if you want to sit under your tower and play a little bit safer.
Yeah, but it's so weird. Like you see your opponent locking Lux, and you go, "Yeah, I think that Xerath is the option here." Like, yeah, okay, you can deny Lux the E-poke, but Line 6 isn't playing that champion that is really easy to watch and watch their pathing in lane. It's Xerath. I feel like would have been a much more use if you locked in something like Aurelia. Where Aurelia's dashing in, you just stun her on a dash. And then what does the Aurelia do? You melee range against Xerath, or like you're not in melee range against Xerath on your dash that's gone on cooldown. You can't do anything. But then locking it in against Lux, I feel like it's a lot less confirmed that you're gonna have a good laning phase. I think it's a lot more how you play it, which then, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do know that Gorinim is that control mage player, right? Loves to play the control mage and not tend to see Gorinim playing these sort of like hyper mobile aggressive champions. Maybe the Ari could be the other option you play, which could have been, a potential good pick there if, they wanted it, it wasn't banned. So maybe it might bite him back. We're not sure, but I think the one thing we do know is that Galaxy Esports kind of always have some sort of idea for what they want from their composition, right? They knew last game they wanted the pick comp, and I feel like they're kind of going for a similar thing this game, right? But almost My concern for Galaxy Esports is it becomes too reliant on a late game for me, because the Sivir is going to be so incredible late game, and the Cho'Gath as well. But if you can't get out of this early game, especially with the Pantheon, especially with the Mumus who are going to look skank early game, are they going to be able to get to that late game, Atomica? That's what worries me.
Maybe.
Yeah,
That's
it's
just
going to be.
suspense. It's like Galaxy Esports really are just like I don't know, like the schizos of this league. Game number 1, you get 31 kills in like a 24-minute stomp, and then you just go, right, guys, we just absolutely murked them in the early game. Early game was completely our domain. They had no answer whatsoever. Right? So what are we going to do in game number 2? We're going to have a schizo freak out and play for the late game. That's what we're going to do, guys. No one will expect it, and it's going to be crazy. And now this means that this Viego pick, I honestly think that this Viego pick for Broken Arrow, it looks a little bit out of place. Because Sivir,
Yeah.
Milio, and Lux are really good at controlling a space. And you're the jungler. You could tell me if I'm just chatting pure waffle. But it feels like, because Viego wants to really chase down, right? Like he wants to utilize, is it the E? His attack speed bonus in the E.
Yeah.
He needs a big area, right? But if you're so focused on controlling a small space with the Luxie, the Sivir, like those choke points, his Viego isn't getting much unless, I don't know, unless Cho'Gath goes full support Cho'Gath, Shirelia's Moonstone alongside the Milio, and this Viego is just unkillable.
That being said, like Perez having the ultimate available for the move speed.
Oh yeah,
we never know. We could see Kazachan maybe opt for the Shirelias.
Oh, that Broken Arrow! He's gonna be so
But
fast.
the Harrod, the one thing you mentioned about controlling an area, and I really think that the Harrod path is so good at controlling an area. From a jungler's perspective, when you are on an objective, you see the Harrod path being thrown down, even if it's looking for some sort of steal. You're not sure where Viego is unless you have the vision available, you have the pink wards, you actually have the sweepers available. It's so incredibly hard to see if he's going to be where you expect him to be, and especially when you've got the Lux E to control a smaller area, maybe at the entrance to a pit. You can really change how a team fight goes just by those two simple abilities.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. That is true. You are correct. I think that is.
Yeah, but I'm excited to see what they do this game. We will be getting into game 2 real soon. I think we are just maybe remaking the lobby. I think we just had a few issues, but don't worry, we'll be back with that soon. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the chat. I want to hear what you think. Do you think Galaxy Esports are going to be able to dominate again and pick up another win, or do you think Dynamo Newdon might come back? Do you think Dynamo Newdon have a good chance this game, Atomica, or do you think that Galaxy Esports have outdrafted him again?
Interesting. I don't think that they've outdrafted them. I feel like this is a very 50-50 draft. I feel like Dynamo don't have a better chance in terms of if they play the same way that they played in game number 1, minus all the deaths. They should be fine with this composition. It's a lot more rewarding to this very early aggressive style. You know, the Pantheon, everyone knows that like he falls off after, well, it's more a hoax, I guess, but like Pantheon falls off very quickly as soon as you reach a certain point. And you've got Gnar as well, you've got a Mumu, you've got Xerath, and you've got I've forgotten who they picked ADC. Remind me, please. Corki.
Corki.
Yeah. Corki and Xerath are quite good late game insurances, but by being able to Oh my god, I forgot I was going to go on that tangent. Yeah, being able to play for the early game through the Pantheon and through the Amumu, like the stun and the damage, like the constant DPS and everything, and the burst alongside with the Pantheon, I think it's got to reward them a lot more. But Galaxy Esports are in a position where their early game isn't hopeless.
Yeah, very true. Very
They're
true.
Viego.
But I would like to see. I would really like to see Dynamo Nudon play around Robinate in this game. He's on a comfort pick. He's on a pick that he's extremely strong on, and even on an Aphelios, which we know that Robinate is strong on, they still didn't maybe capitalize around playing him on Robinate and how he can carry a game. And I would really expect to see them play that way this game. But that being said, with it being a Mumu, with it being a Pantheon as well, and the instant lockdown of a CC from a point and click, which gives a free bandage toss over to extra flavor here, I would expect them to play around this early game. What do you think? Do you think that's the best strategy here for Dynamo New Dawn?
Yeah, I think if you look at the composition that Dynamo New Dawn have drafted, and you were to ask people, look at this composition, who would you pick as like the person that you would want to feed out of Gnar, Amumu, Xerath, Corki, and Pantheon, right? Most likely, the majority of people are going to say Corki, especially with the rework. Getting him fed early and getting that Infinity Edge true damage crit damage, right? It's so crazy. Is it Manamune Infinity Edge, like and the Sheen item Triforce, right? Like if you Q auto, you're half HPing someone, whether they're like tank or not, and
Yeah,
it just makes it so that like it would make Dynamo New Dawn's game a lot easier if Robbie Nater felt confident enough to just strut around the map, not walk, strut. He needs to like be on his slay game, just Wing like Valkyrie forward onto Perez's head and just going, what are you going to do about it? I'm armor shredding you and I'm dealing a ton of damage to you. Like there's nothing you can do about this.
but that's why the Milio is so good, right? That's why the Milio is so good. Now, yes, that is a potential option, and Robbie Nater can instantly jump on to Perez, but the Milio is so good at just sustaining someone and keeping people alive. The ultimate, the quite quick cleanse is really, really vital, especially against an Amumu, especially against a Pantheon. Even the Xerath stun. Now, yes, Sivir doesn't have as much escapability as you'd like it to have, like the Tristana had last game, which could be a problem, especially trying to get away from maybe Gorinim in this mid lane that does have the ultimate available, especially when falling low, because there was a couple of times where Perez did fall low. That being said, I think the Milio was such a really important pick here, because I think without the Milio in this composition, I don't think it quite works as well as they hope it would.
Yeah, I can agree to an extent about the Milio. However, I think if you're dropping a Milio ult because a Corki Valkyrie forward and half HP just Sivir, your composition's in trouble, right? Like
Yeah.
it's because you lose that quick cleanse. Like you as the Milio, not to be like, oh, I'm a support main, but like as the Milio here, I have so many things that I have to worry about to use my ult on, right? The Amumu stun, the Amumu the Curse of the Sad Money, the Bandage Toss, the Pantheon point and click stun, the Xerath, the Gnar stun, right? I have so much to worry about that if someone does get caught out by, say, a big rocket auto attack from a Corki and they drop down to a quarter HP, the only way that I'm healing them is with the W, which then you just lose a lot of what makes your champion so good into the enemy composition, purely because this Corki, if Dynamo New Dawn feed him, like be like, oh, here, pilot, here comes the aeroplane. But like if they feed this Corki and he can do whatever he wants, it means that this Milio is going to have a rough time. However, on the flip side, if this Corki comes out of laning phase, pretty much anything other than like maybe 3-0 or at least decent farm, I think this is going to be a really rough game for Dynamo Nudon. I think that it's and I think that this Sivir will just roam because we'll just run the game. Because if we remember, do you remember Perez? Was it game 3 against Hollow Nightmares on the Kaiser?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. All he did was farm that game, by the way. I'm pretty sure he left lane in phase 0-0-0. If he can do that on Kaiser, he can do that on Sivir.
Yeah, and I think definitely has the potential to do that. But we are going into game 2 now, as both teams are invading the opposite side of the map. Now, we expect this from Galaxy Esports, and Dynamo New Dawn are maybe expecting it, but not expecting them to go around the top lane. Galaxy Esports playing a little bit sneaky, looking to maybe split them up across the red side. Now, the issue here is, if DJ Stino steps up a little bit too close and doesn't actually know they're there, then he could be in trouble. And I think Dynamo New Dawn aren't going to opt to maybe invade their red buff, which could be a problem for Extra Flavor, because they do not know that Galaxy Esports are there.
Extra Flavor's going to walk to his top side because, like you said, he doesn't know they're there, and he's just going to walk to his top side and find it empty. And that's going to be a major problem.
As a jungler, that is one of the worst feelings you can come across. But he might know that they're now. DJ Stino's going to walk around it. But Broken Arrow's hiding in the bush. DJ Stino doesn't actually spot him. And it's perfectly played by Broken Arrow, dragging it into the bush there as well. No things going on to it. There's already a fight in this early game. And I feel like we're going to be in for some chaos this game, Atomica.
Yeah, and guess which team it positively benefits. There you go, that's the word I was looking for. It's Dynamo New Dawn, because this time they picked the team that can really do a lot of business in the mid game, as Stino and
it's going to be fast from you instantly, and there is the power of the Pantheon. The Spartan is full on going 300 and really asserting himself in this game. And you said it, Atomica, you said about the Pantheon.
Yeah, literally I did. I feel like a prophet. But to really give props to Dynamo New Dawn bot lane, they were just ready. They were ready, completely ready to pull the trigger. They were on the same wavelength. Corki Valkyrie forward, the flash from Pantheon to secure the stun. And like I said, this Milio, pre-level 6, is a bit of an annoying rat, but he's not annoying enough.
No, not at all. But Perez is going to step up too close again for the second time, and that shield vault is further than you think it is, Perez, and that is causing a lot of trouble this game. And no matter how much Pedro Pedro is going to try poking away, Darker Basher and Robbie Nater are going to be super aggressive for this entire game. And there's a slight concern though, Atomica. Yes, they're playing forward. They do have a ward in the tri-brush, but this is such a good opportunity for Broken Arrow if he can maybe capitalize on stepping too close. Is that actually did just that then a second? Took a tower shot, which maybe is a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, it was a
top lane though, Atomica. Sorry to stop you there. Extra Flavor is here. Kadisham going to hit the rupture. Extra Flavor now falling low to the minions. And Dynamo New Dawn are really showing how they can be the aggressive team now.
Yeah, and I think what really helps escalate the violence in the bot lane, to sound like I'm a news reporter in Liverpool, you know, it's the fact that Galaxy Esports have picked such a late game composition, right? Late game composition in a bot lane. You look at Sivir. Sivir isn't a chair. Like, everyone knows, oh, if you're reaching 300 farm against the Sivir, you're probably in a lost position, because Sivir is well known as the late game carry, as we see the Lux roam into the top side.
Yeah, Line 6 is going to look to capitalise on David Stino a little bit too close. In comes the jump though. Line 6 wasted a little bit of time. They did manage to shove the wave in, but he's already nearly 10 CS behind, and he's going to lose some minions in the tower there. Not the decision you want to make in this early game on the Lux, Atomica, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Lux is more of a control mage. You know, she wants to stay mid, she wants to stay in farm, she wants to make sure she gets her items. And I think that pushing forward and then looking for these roams, a little bit risky, probably a little bit too risky, but I understand why Line 6 has done it, has opted for, I believe it was an early base for TP, and has bought himself a Dark Seal. So really wants to get these stacks going, get the value out of this 350 gold item, and really start trying to, you know, kickstart Galaxy Esports early game, even though their composition kind of calls for patience.
Yeah, absolutely. And looks like both junglers are now hovering around the bot side, Drake is now up. It's going to be the Mountain Drake. That's going to be the first Drake of this game too. Now, will we see both junglers meet in the bot lane? We may do soon because Darkabash is going to step up as Pedro P treads in a slightly difficult position here. He's going to hit the Q. The fight in the mid lane now as line 6 is going to try pull back. But Kaiser's going to flash in. Perfectly timed jump by DJ Steamer. Walk away as Kaiser just completely missed the ultimate.
Yeah, that feels so bad if you're Kaiser Champ, right? Like you flash for it and everything and you miss. Feels so awful. But well played by Stino in that top lane. He had a bit of a torrid time in game 1 against that Kennen, and now against the Cho'Gath he's faring a little bit better. So I think that this is really could be a little bit of a redemption game on this Gnar. See the TP going into the top side to collect the wave. But it's all about Broken Arrow now.
Played in a difficult position now, stepping up towards his chickens, but they're not yours anymore, so it's Broken Arrow, as he is going to do exactly what Broken Arrow does and really dominate the jungle. And we see this every single game for Broken Arrow. He loves to invade, he loves to play aggressive, and you'd really hope that Goronin can maybe play that slightly better role in terms of just capitalizing on that, maybe warding over the chickens, which he has opted to do now. And you would like to see him maybe play around a little bit around more as jungler and keep him safe, because Extra Flavor is 20 CS down.
Yeah, and that feels
kind of bad. Ain't gonna happen though. Darkabash are gonna engage onto Perez here. In comes the Ignite. Milio popping the W, and Perez is being bullied by this Pantheon.
Yeah, and Stino dies in the top lane. I'm not sure what happened there. Maybe it was just, I think it was a feast. I think the Kaiser Champ just feasted him. No flash for the Gnar. Probably had no jump. Just walked at him and feasted him. As I was just praising him. As Goronin.
Goronin's going to try to do as much damage as possible to line 6, as line 6 is playing aggressive yet again, but Broken Arrow here going to capitalize and actually in a difficult position here. In comes DJ Stino as well, because Broken Arrow, he isn't alone. The right of the Arcane coming in, and down goes Broken Arrow, just as I exactly wanted. Goronin to play around his jungler, keep him safe. He does just that, Atomica, and Broken Arrow. He's dead as well in the top lane, as the Gnar going to pick up a kill, and Kaiser-chan is gone down as well. Goronin falling so low, line 6 can't pick up the kill, and Q hits it because Goronin snipes line 6!
No way! It falls apart for Galaxy Esports in what is probably one of their most comfortable scenarios. Broken Arrow on the invade, a level up on Extra Flavor. Stino comes down with the bandit with the boomerang, and as he is using, I'm not even sure what it's called, but the Viego ultimate, as he's coming down and about to pick up the kill on Extra Flavor, that final right of the Arcane is it just comes in, and like. And then, what makes it even worse is that Kaiser Champ walks through the tower with no minions, tanking up the tower. Think an auto attack, a stray auto attack from Stino, means that he picks up the kill. Then line 6 in the mid lane, 1 HP leaves Goronin, and Goronin just Qs him and kills him. It's crazy, as we see potentially something going on in the mid lane.
Goronin is in a difficult position now. In comes the Heartbreaker, and it's a shutdown being handed over to line 6. That's not where you want to be, as Zenith is such a difficult champion to escape on, and unfortunately he's not able to escape that because Kaiser Champ's going to feast on this Gnar, and down goes the Yordle. But it's not finished just yet. The line 6 is going to land a ult and the Q, perfect with the Extra Flavor. Going to be taken down by the long range ult attack. Darkabash now falling low as well. Line 6 isn't quite finished. Second ult attack going in, and it's a double kill for line 6 in the mid lane.
Yeah, a brilliant play by Galaxy Esports. They recognized that Goronin, first of all, they recognized that Goronin stepped way too far forward, no flash. Still had his flash, but still recognized he could get the kill. And then, I don't know what Extra Flavor and Darkabash are doing, to be honest. They have no real damage, no real kill threat, and they still go to play. And then Line 6 and Broken Arrow just working together, utilizing that insane damage that Lux and Viego have as a shutdown in the mid lane. Line 6 overstayed his welcome and picks up a kill. Well, and dies, so he picks up a death, not a kill.
The right of the Arcane was popped quite early for Goronin, but he patiently waited. There's going to be a fight now in the mid lane. Pedro P. Tresnai from that, he's not where you want to be. This Milio is going to fall. In comes the missile barrage to take down the Milio, and red team secures the first Mountain Drake.
And this is what I was talking about. Corki, Valkyrie in, just strut up to whoever he wants. And did you see the damage? That Milio was half HP at the start of that. And all that was hit there was a bandage toss, a big missile barrage on, I'm not sure if the big one has like a better name. I just call it the red one. But, you know, it hits, and then there's an auto attack with the Sheen, and that Milio popped like a balloon. This is what this Corki brings to the table for Dynamo New Dawn. And if they look at that fight, or if they even have any form of like voice comms and they were with the hype, oh, was Steino's caught out, baby.
Steino, it might be caught out here, but does actually have the Nara available. He's going to actually Nara him into the wall. The Warlock's coming in as well. Line 6 not falling low, as in comes Darker Basher, and the Pantheon's here to play. The Q going to land, and the ultimate as well. Extra flavors here. Down will go Kaiser-chan in a second now. The Spanish Trust not quite did to go. Line 6 is low, but the Heartbreaker coming down. And the Q landed as well with the extra flavor. And it's a double kill for Broken Arrow.
And it is just, it's a calamity in the top side, isn't it? Extra flavor on this movie. These bandage tosses, like some of them are absolutely incredible. Like that first bandage toss level 4, and then that bandage toss again at the start of the fight. But then he has moments where he uses the bandage tosses again, and it just hits a minion directly in front of him. Broken Arrow and Line 6 then able to just easily kite out the Amumu, the Gnar, and the Pantheon. All three of them die. And I think again, this is just about knowing who to play around. Gnar and Amumu don't have a lot of damage, and by trying to force these plays into areas where you don't have the damage, you're just giving over free kills. And Galaxy Esports are just, they are just feeding off it. They're like, oh yeah, go on, yeah, make a play on the top side. Where's your Corki? Where's your Xerath? Nowhere to be found. Okay, this is our fight.
Yeah, but playing a bit sneaky now though. Galaxy Esports, Broken Arrow and Pedro Pichres waiting in the bush. Doesn't know Line 6 there, but Line 6 is going to miss the Q now. DJ Stino's going to be able to pop the Nara and walk away. The Q narrowly missing the boulder, not quite hitting onto Line 6. And Galaxy Esports are not afraid to search for more blood, as they might be looking for a hero Tomoka, because Cho'Gath is going to look to engage, going to hit the Rupture onto Extra Flavor. Extra Flavor now half HP, the Silence landing as well. The Flash not available, but Kaiser-chan is doing so much damage. The Q landing, Extra Flavor, you can't walk away, and that is a very sad moment. But the right and the Arcane's going to land onto Cho'Gath, and it's a shutdown for Gorin him, and it's just chaos all over the place.
He sniped him in mid-dead. He was like an anti-air gun. What was that? And the right of the Arcane came in, and he picks up the kill whilst Cho'Gath is in mid-air. Okay, kind of crazy work. Gorin him though now, he's 4-1, and I think this is the positives that Dynamo New Dawn can take out of this, right? Is that, okay, yes, Extra Flavor is behind, right? But it's, you know, they're getting kills, sorry, in the mid lane. It's not bad for Dynamo New Dawn. I lost my trail of thought there.
No, all good, all good. Line 6 is playing a little bit of a dangerous game though this game. Now, he's looking to roam quite a lot, and he's now sitting in the top lane against this now. The Cho'Gath opting to jump in the mid lane, but Darker Basher might capitalise on Pedro Pichres in a difficult position. Extra Flavor was just there, but they're not going to jump in it just yet. But back to my point, Line 6, he's been less than 30% of HP for the last 3 minutes of this game. This guy needs to back soon, right? You need to recall. I mean,
yeah, but this is what Line 6 does, and he does best. He's like baiting himself, right? He's like, look at me, oh, look at me, I'm low HP, come kill me, come kill me. And then Broken Arrow and whoever else wants to be there.
DJ Stino is going to fall soon as the auto attack lands, and just as we mentioned about Line 6 being low, you said it, Tomoka, this is what he does. He baits in the Gnar and instantly taking down the final spark, doing so much damage.
Yeah, I think it was the final spark in E, right? Like the Luxie damage came through. But the things that Galaxy Esports need to worry about is the Xerath and the Corki. They're just free farming. And yes, okay, they're not free farming champions, but over time, champion value diminishes, especially if they don't get kills in response. So they actually get more value gold by just continually farming these waves and farming these towers. And we're going to see Robbie Nate potentially get bot lane tower. No, he's not. Good defense by Perez. But yeah, all of this gold is filtering into them.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look at the gold now as well. I mean, this Lux and this Zenith are very, very close now at this point. I mean, both now sitting on 1.5 items-ish now, and the gold lead isn't that hectic overall now. They are just 2,000 gold ahead of Galaxy Esports, but we can see it just there. I mean, this Nat is now struggling, almost at 1,000 gold behind at this point in the game. That is not what you want, Atomica. And unfortunately for DJ Stino, he's been dominated by Kaiser Champ in both these games.
And I think, if I'm being honest, this is Kaiser Champ's redemption arc. We saw his whole nightmares. He had, I think it's safe to say, he had 5 torrid games.
Yeah, Machadedio really was not very nice to Kaiser Champ.
Yeah, absolutely not. And then he's finally, now is, you know, he's against Andonudon, he's renewed, as we see Robinator is in the 1v3 in the bot lane.
Yeah, the final squad going to be flashed away from the perfectly timed as well. There's going to be another fight in the top lane now, but Line 6 is going to fall low. It's a shutdown as the missile barrage perfectly timed with the tower as well, and it's going to take him down. And we said about Line 6 playing low and playing with 30% of HP, but that's not 30% of HP you want to be, not when you're under the tower. Terrace here is going to maybe try to do something, try to get broken arrow. It's nicely timed, the Heartbreaker going down, but it's another shutdown for both of them there, and that is beneficial for this Corki. Robinator is now 3-1 as to pick up the Herald as well.
Well, realistically, if you think about it, that's a 2-for-1 in the bot lane, and Robinator was on his own. Flash, I don't even know
what the top lane now, bro, because down goes the Nat. Pedro Putres trying to use the Breath of Life, but it's not going to give Cho'Gath any life. Extra flavor, I'm going to have to flash out from the tower, falling very, very low, but in comes the Herald to take it down. Pedro Putres might actually be able to take him down. No, not just yet, as in comes Stino, and down goes the Milio. But Line 6 is here to try to do something, and the Amumu is going to fall now as well. DJ Stino now sitting just below 20% of HP. Gordon going to just be hit by the Q, and in comes the Singularity. Does a lot of damage to Gordon, but Stino and Gordon have been forced out because the Viego is now on his way. Broken Arrow just slowly making his way up his top lane, and Gordon trying to like everything, but Line 6 is perfectly dodging everything. The Singularity hitting, and he could have popped the W to shield it off as well now, but Pantheon's here as well. The Q going to miss, the Q being flashed away, but Darkamash is going to finish him off, and I can finally breathe.
Yes, you can finally breathe for Line 6 with the fancy feet, though. But no wombo combo. Manages to pick up Steino, but that's not who he really wanted. He wanted to pick up Goronim on this Xerath. Couldn't do it, and now this Dark Seal has lost all its stats, lost all its value. And to be honest, I'm surprised Line 6 even picks it up as an item, considering his playstyle. It's crazy. He dies all the time, and yet he's picking up the item that rewards not dying. And that's just a waste of 350 gold. And we see now, Gordon has 2 items compared to Lux, as we do see from Pedro Putres caught out.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened a few times for Pedro. Pedro's been in a position he does not need to be in. He's overstepped looking for vision. Dynamo New Dawn did it a few times last game, and I think that maybe they've learned their lesson in Galaxy Esports and maybe trying to do pretty much the opposite of what they punished Dynamo New Dawn for last game. That being said, they do still have the late game available because Kaiser Champ is now becoming quite a force to be reckoned with. Does actually have the Frozen Heart now finished. The extra flavors here now as well. Line 6 is going to miss the final spark. In comes the right of the Arcane. The extra flavor is just going to die. Down goes Cho'Gath as well. Robinator's here. W's in. The Valkyrie not going to hit anyone, but Line 6 is going to land a perfect stun and actually misses the blast gun to knock DJ Stino back. Does have the now available any second now. There's going to be another fight going on. Broken Arrow is going to be hit just a little bit, but Pedro Putres is going to just save him and try to keep him sustained throughout the entire fight. Line 6 is dangerous with these Qs, rooting Stino at every opportunity. Perez might be stunned into the wall. He doesn't have it available with Stino. Stino will be taken down though, because Perez is now doing a lot of damage. The final start just narrowly missed Robinator and Darkabasha, and Pedro Putres is going to hit a Q, and Line 6 is looking for another room. Doesn't actually hit it. Robinator sidesteps it perfectly. Got his dancing feet on now, and it's not over just yet, Atomica, because Darkabasha is trying to land every spear possible.
This is the longest fight in existence, and sorry to come in as the calm, demure man that I am, but that was a crazy fight. That fight was all over the place, and to be honest, it completely helped Dynamo New Dawn. Even though that I think that they came out worse for wear in terms of how many people died and how many people didn't, it's still the fact of that this Corki and this Seraph, they're able to output the damage, and it's psychological warfare. It's like, you know, Pedro Perez now, they're like, oh, I mean, even Lion 6, right? He's looking at the damage of that Corki just laid down on top of him, and he's going, oh, that hurts. I don't want to step up to that. And maybe it can help subdue Galaxy Esports' extreme aggression. I mean, I say that as if that's ever going to happen, but, you know, it could really help Dynamo New Dawn in that sort of psychological warfare of just stepping up into the river, and then Galaxy Esports being like, well, I don't want to get caught out by that, and then I'm walking away and giving up when they don't need to.
Yeah, but looking like Galaxy Esports are going to opt to take Runa's Atakan instead of the dragon, giving the second dragon for Dynamo New Dawn over Line 6 to try to do something to steal it. Actually doesn't hit the E just in time. Managed to get the blast spell over the wall and nicely smited by Extra Flavor, but that is going to breathe free Atakan here upon it. Who do you think wins that one there?
Personally, I think that Atakan is always worth it. Even if you only have one Drake like Galaxy Esports do now, because now you really set yourself up.
Line 6 though is going to fall though, as Robbie Nate's going to hit a missile barrage, and in comes a curse of the Sad Mummy as well, and that is no longer a Sad Mummy, but it's a Sad Cho'Gath, as a double kill gets handed over to Robbie Nater. And just as you said about the Atakan being important there, is it really worth it now? 2 members of Galaxy Esports are dead.
Not when you do that on the side of Galaxy Esports. Straight up, not when you do that. I think that was very silly from Line 6 and from Isochamp. They really didn't need to do that. However, you know, getting the Atakan is still a positive for Galaxy Esports, because now they deny their extra.
It's not finished though, because Darkbash going to take him out of Broken Arrow. The Harrow Path came out, and Darkbash thought he had him, and DJ Steam's going to be taken down as well. And this is one Fed Viego now going to pick up the Nara as well, and the Heartbreaker did almost half hit through there. As Line 6 is going to get so much healing from the breath of life. The final spam going to hit. Extra Flame's going to land a banish off in the tower, but the tower's going to go down just in time. The Broken Arrow's got another reset, and he's now on a killing spree in this game, and Dynamo New Dawn just throwing it away in that last team fight.
Yeah, Robbie Nater caught out there, doesn't have the Mercs Treads yet. Now he does. He opts to purchase them instead of a what I saw was a Sorry Convert there on the Corki. But yeah, completely caught out by that route from Lux, as we see Pedro Perez very low, as Darkbash also goes very low. Good lord, it's the trading of the lows.
Oh, Gordon sniping him away! Perfectly timed! Gordon is now dominating this game. He's 8 and 1, but it might not be enough because Perez and Kaiser are looking to take every little bit in this space. Line 6 now, we're going to try and get his fancy feet on and dance away, as Perez are going to now destroy the red inhibitor. The Galaxy Esports are a little bit of trouble. Flash is not yet available. It's Metal Man's got the final spark hitting him for DJ Stino. DJ Stino's now going to follow, but the reset's not going to get there just yet, as down goes Broken Arrow.
Yeah, and this is the Corki. He has Manamune and Triforce. You have to be very, very careful with how you're stepping up. And honestly, this is what I find really funny about feeding Viego, right? Is that Viego on his own, very fed, big issue. Just takes a soul, takes your 2 and 7 Gnar, no longer very fed, very squishy. And it means that, like, it becomes a little bit easier for Dynamo New Dawn to deal with the Viego. However, Broken Arrow's been put on an absolute clinic, right? Like, this Viego has been such a nuisance for Extra Flavor the entire game, and also for Dynamo New Dawn the entire game, because you can clearly see the macro plays from Galaxy Esports are most likely spearheaded by Broken Arrow, and it was because Broken Arrow was on that side, brought Steino and Darker Basher for that double kill in the top lane that completely opened up the play. He dragged them to the side lane. He dragged them. He was like, you know what? You need to come and face me. Yeah, they did. He killed them both, and he's spearheading Galaxy Esports right now. And Galaxy Esports, look, even though the gold lead is, what, only 3,000 for the side of Galaxy Esports, they look mightily in control of this game.
Yeah, they really do. We are going to get a pause now, though. And in the meantime, we can take a look at the scoreboard. And Goronim is really, really showing why he can now be the problem. But unfortunately, Extra Flavor is starving this game. And we saw it in the early game. 10 minutes in, he was 20-30 CS behind this Viego, and Broken Arrow loves to invade, loves to get any advantage and take any and give the Extra Flavor any disadvantage this game, and it's becoming increasingly difficult for Extra Flavor to be anything but a stun bot this game, Atomico.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that though that Amumu is a really weird case in the sense of he can be starved like this because of how much pure CC is in his kit.
Thornham's in a difficult position now, though. Stepping up a little bit too far. Gonna have to flash away, but Brokenarrow does have the Harrow Pathhead available. Gonna be spotted on the pink ward, but might not just care yet. The Harrow Path being thrown down, and that is one fast Viego. We are gonna unfortunately get the glitch from the pause there, and I'm sure we'll see the aftermath of what's gonna happen here, because Brokenarrow is really looking to take blood away. As in comes the Pantheon, and down goes the Grand Starfall. So there's a lot away the Viego there.
Yeah, Viego was in the shroud of his path. As we see Line 6 also in the shroud of vision.
The final spark going to be just taken away though, as it was really nicely timed to pop that in. But Brokenarrow doesn't care, as he's now got the reset. He's now doing a lot of damage. Extra flavor. He's going to land the stun, but the Heartbreaker is going to be used to throw it away. And down goes the Gnar as well. Perez is now slayed into Fira. Going in unfortunately to be taken down. It's another kill for the Lux. And the Heartbreaker is thrown down again. And Robbie Nater is solo defending this base. And this could be game 2, Atomica.
Yeah, I think this is game 2. The inhibitors down in the mid lane.
You have, how long is it? 20 seconds, only 5 seconds of Dark Basher, but 20 seconds on the next champion. And with 6 grubs, these towers are like paper. And we see Galaxy Esports just taking the towers and most likely taking the Nexus. But I have to really sort of pick up on what Robbie Nater did in that last fight. It was criminal. That Viego was stunned, he was rooted, there was no way he was doing anything to him, and he still proceeded to run away and not deal damage. You can be as fed as you want on that Corki, but if you're not auto-attacking, you're not dealing damage, and that means that you are being useless.
Absolutely. We are now going to take a quick break as game 2 goes over to Galaxy Esports, so don't go anywhere because there could be a reverse sweep, we never know. We're back for game 3, ladies and gentlemen. Galaxy Esports picking up another game in this series. It is now 2-0. Dynamo New Dawn falling short. It looks so optimistic in that game. They played incredibly well in the early game. They were the aggressor, but unfortunately Galaxy Esports came out on top. They had the insurance of the late game, and they were so dominant in that late game, weren't they, Atomica?
Yeah, it was wild. The Galaxy Esports in that. Well, I mean, it was a mid game that transitioned into a late game, because Galaxy Esports were just. Honestly, I think out of the what is that our 7th game that we've cast for them now, that was the most clinical that I've seen them. They took every opportunity they could. They did. I would probably say they did the perfect objective trades when they were behind or seen as behind, and they then snowballed that into winning the game. And we now see the draft for game number 3 has started, and the bans are flying.
Yeah, the bans are flying indeed. Galaxy Esports. By the way, the Galio is still available, Atomica. It's not been banned away. Can we just?
I think that.
Can we just say it's now available? So I think it may be picked. I would love to see Galaxy Esports first pick it here. It would be brilliant, and I'm hoping it happens. And it might. We never know. But the Mordekaiser is going to be taken away, as is the Gwen and the Callista as well. Not surprised to see the Callista being taken away. We do know that Galaxy Esports do like the Callista, and we know that Perez is definitely one of his favourite champions to play there. So I'm not surprised to see that, especially with his very aggressive playstyle as well. That being said, we're going to see the first pick being locked in, and it's going to be a Mel being locked in. Now, this has got to be mid lane Mel, right? It's got to be line 6.
Yeah, and I'm so happy. I love Mel. I love Mel. Now, I'll stop saying that I love champs, but Mel is a very fun champ to watch. I know that people say, "Oh no, she just executes. It's so boring." Now, I think that her kit is quite nice. I think it's quite nice to watch. I think that it's just a very unique champion, and being able to watch a champion that can look like it does so little and then presses one key and does so much, it's crazy. And I really do enjoy watching Amel, as we do see the infamous Gallia.
There is the Galio, ladies and gentlemen. We knew it was coming soon, and I think it's safe to say that we have a very happy Goran in this game with Atomica. I think he is going to be very happy. But I'm very surprised to see a Valkor's being locked in, though. I can't lie to you.
Excuse me, Valkor's. Hello. That means it's what?
Is that
where's it going?
Is that going to be Darker Basher on the Galio? And then maybe Velkoz's being for the mid lane. I'm sure we'll find out soon. But anyway, we're going to see a Vayne being locked in for Galaxy Esports. Now, I'm very excited for this, right? I'm very, very excited to see how Perez operates on this Vayne. We've seen how tricky Perez can be. We've seen how aggressive he likes to be. We know he has a big champion pool. And I really think the Vayne is something where you really get to see how our player can perform in these fights, especially on an ADC like Vayne, where you really want to get deep and dirty in the jungle and get really in people's faces. That being said, we're going to be seeing Pedro playing the Pyke. Are you excited? Because I'm excited. The Pyke is such a good champion for someone who loves to roam, and Pedro loves to do exactly that, Atomica.
Yeah, Pedro. I mean, I think it's literally the perfect Pedro Petres champion. Literally a champion made just for Pedro. He can roam. He has kill pressure. He has displacement. He has hard CC. He has invisibility. He has, he can be a nuisance. He can be absolutely useless. It is such a flip when you lock in Pyke, and Pedro Petres loves to play on that flip. So, seeing a Pyke Vayne bot lane from Perez and Pedro, it is so them. It is so characteristic of them.
Yeah, it's very exciting as well. I do like it as well because Dynamo New Dawn, we know that Darker Basher does like to play the Pyke, has played it before in Zenith League as well. So it does actually take that option away as well, especially being fearless as well. It does mean that if Dynamo New Dawn do actually win this game, then it's not available. Then it's not available for the rest of the series as well. But we're going to see a Jarvan being picked up by Extra Flavor. I quite like this for Extra Flavor. Struggled a lot in the early game last time. Was starving for CS. Jarvan is such a two-dimensional champion. Flag and drag straight in. I'm Jarvan. I'm helping, and I really like to see Extra Flavor play a bit more of a simplistic champion. No Amumu is that, but the issue is the Amumu, when you fall behind, you are just essentially useless. Jarvan still has the opportunity to be incredibly important in any game.
yeah, Jarvan can, especially against like a champion like Vayne, right? Like Vayne and Mel, especially actually, I didn't even clock that. Vayne and Mel, immobile, right? And I know that's not a term that you commonly associate with Vayne, but if he's locked down into the Cataclysm against a Vel'Koz, Galio, Alistair especially, it's so doomed.
That being said, though, Tomica, Vayne can actually roll out of the Cataclysm.
Are you joking?
In the Ultimate, Vayne can roll out of the
Oh,
Cataclysm.
because of the extended roll range,
Because
isn't
the
it?
extended roll range, you can roll out of the
Ow.
Cataclysm. So that being
What a
said,
champion.
it's going to be interesting to see how they perform, but we're going to see a Yasuo being locked in here. How incredibly interesting this is going to be. The Alistair, the Galio, the Jarvan. It all makes sense now, Atomica. We saw the direction that Dynamo and New Dawn were going in, and they're looking to play around this Yasuo this game. Now, is it going to be Gorinim? Is it going to be Robinator? We yet to see. I think it's going to be Robinator, right? We're going to see Robinator on the Yasuo, like, more than likely. That being said, Galaxy Esports get their final picks in as well. It's going to be Camille being locked in for the top lane, and it's going to be a Evelyn in the jungle as well. And I think Galaxy Esports have definitely opted for a super aggro game this game, because they're looking for the one-shot, right? They're looking for every execute and every one-shot possible. But I am very excited to see how Dynamo and New Dawn play on the Yasuo, because if Robinator forgets to press R, it could be trouble.
Yeah, it could be. But it could also not be. No, to not be whataboutism. If Robinator does forget to press his R key, it could be complete wraps for the side of Dynamo New Dawn. However, one thing that I really enjoy about Dynamo New Dawn's composition is that they've just gone for something a little bit more fun and lighthearted, right? Like Yasuo bot lane, it's something that you don't expect to see, and we are actually seeing the pivot, right? Like, I don't know if you remember, but do you remember Line 6 playing Vayne mid?
Yes, I do.
ONMS?
Very good point, and I think it actually might be the Vayne mid now you mention it.
Yeah, it's got to be, right? It's got to be the pivot, because Mel has such a nice, like, Mel, I would say Mel has quite a nice time into Yasuo, right? Even though you have the wind wall, your poke is so strong that he's not going to waste a wind wall on a Q. He's going to wait for you to try and use that route, and then your route sees cooldown is so much less than his wind wall.
Yeah, I can confirm, Atomica, if you're ready.
Go on.
He's
hit me
actually
with it.
going to be Perez on the Mel. And Line 6 is
Yeah.
going to be operating on this Vayne this game as well, against a Vel'Koz in the mid lane. So it is actually going to be DJ Stino on the Galio. And we're going to see Gorinim in the mid lane, and the Yasuo is going to be operated by Robinator, as predicted. So just when we thought it was all decided, we thought Gorinim finally got his Galio. He's not even taking it.
That must feel awful. Imagine your team locking in your champ and going, yeah, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And then as literally the next pick is, they're gone, right, no, you're playing Vel'Koz. Like, imagine how sad you feel. I mean, saying that, he does have a lot of experience on the Vel'Koz, right? He has over 100,000 mastery points. So I don't think he's too sad about it. But Gorinim has been enjoying his Galio. And seeing the Galio locked in and being so teasingly close to being played, yeah, you must be sat there thinking, oh, I wanted to play the Galio.
Yeah, I think definitely that's the one that he's hoped to play, but I think Dynamo and New Dawn again are trying a different strategy every single game. Last game they tried to play the more aggressive comp. It nearly paid off. It nearly did well, but unfortunately they had the insurance for the side of Galaxy Esports. They had the Cho'Gath. They had the late game with the Sivir as well. Broken Arrow really showed how dominant he can be in a super aggressive bruiser champion. That being said, I'm a little bit confused about the Evelyn here. I'm not sure how to feel about it. I feel if maybe Galaxy Esports opted for something that has the engage, that has the ability to just consistently stay in a fight and sustain in a fight, would have been more beneficial here, because I don't see how this Evelyn is going to operate against Assassin and in anyone but this Vel'Koz.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that it is going to be a very difficult game to pilot this, Evelyn. However, speaking of that, there is no peel for the Vel'Koz. That Vel'Koz is a complete sitting duck because Gallia's going to go in, Jarvan's going to go in, and Alistar's going to go in. It's their entire Champions kit is designed to go in. Yasuo then, hopefully off the back of a 4-man knockup, will get the ultimate. Where is Vel'Koz going to be? Vel'Koz is going to be positioning himself in the back line behind his front line, going, yep, no one in front of me that I can see can get to me. And then Evelyn's just got to appear from the side, charm him up, kill him. And then they've lost a lot of damage because it's true damage, remember, as well. It's not even just magic damage that they're losing. It's true damage that they're losing. So they want to keep they probably want to keep one member behind to try and peel for this Vel'Koz, but then you have to ask the question, who is it that you leave behind? Is it the Galio, but then you lose the taunt follow-up? Is it the Jarvan, but then you lose the Cataclysm? Is it the Alistar, but then you lose the point-and-click knock-up? So what do you sacrifice to keep this Vel'Koz alive? Or do you literally just say, nah, we're going to go all in on this Yasuo, and he's going to carry?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair point, but that being said, Goronin was very good at playing such a safe control mage last game. We saw it on the Zenith. He was so good at sniping people, which is kind of what Vel'Koz's kit does, right? We know that Vel'Koz does have the ability to snipe people, does have the ability to play super safe, and that's kind of exactly what I think they're opting for here. Is Zenith no longer available due to being Fearless Draft, so what else can they play to keep Goronin on something safe where he can still play a little bit in the same sort of role? And I think that's why the Vel'Koz makes sense. We are going to get a little bit of a pause here. It is due to, unfortunately, I think we got a DC classic, indie company things with Riot. But we will get in soon to, hopefully, a very exciting Game 3. Now, Atomica, my question for you is, if you are extra flavor here, surely you want to play around this Robinator and Darkabasha bot lane, right?
Yes.
Now, that being said, Broken Arrow on the Evelyn, not typically a champion you're going to see until at least level 6. How do you operate around stopping extra flavor from just bullying this bot lane?
As the Evelyn?
Yeah.
You get on your hands and knees.
and you plead.
You beg. You plead. You say, please, guys, every time your stealth ward is up, place them, please. Just play as safe as possible. Because you're a little okay, you've got Pike, but I'm assuming that this Pike is more to play for the roams than to actually play for the lane, which is why they've locked in Mel in the bot lane. Because Mel is a very good one. Like, Mel can survive on her own, she's quite decent at that. And if you pull away the Alistar as Pedro Petres by constantly roaming, then you can make it a 1v1, Yasuo Mel. And I think that it's a pretty 50-50, right? But in all seriousness, answer, if say Pedro Petres plays mainly for the lane and you're Broken Arrow, you literally if this Jarvan is spam ganking, you literally just don't care. You invade. You just invade, and you do what you've been doing the entire series. If you're Broken Arrow, you just constantly invade. You get that experience lead, you get that CS lead, and you get that item advantage to the point where probably Extra Flavor is level 4. You're level 6, walking into his jungle invisible, snipe him out of thin air. He's gonna pop in one go because all he's gonna have is maybe, I don't know, a what's it called? Is it Tunneler? The little drill item for Bruiser. Yeah. And you're going to be sat there on your Hextech alternator and maybe, I don't know, Lost Chapter or something. I don't know what Evelyn builds nowadays. I've not seen an Evelyn in quite a while. But, you're going to be sat on quite a bit of gold ahead. You're going to be so far ahead, maybe, let's just say an Amp Tome and a Hextech alternator. On top of the Charm and your Execute, against a level 4 Jarvan with no extra magic resist, he's going to pop like a balloon. And if you can gain that experience and gold lead, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. And just as you mentioned about maybe trying to pluck the Jarvan out of thin air, I think maybe Pedro Pietrez would do it. So looking to do exactly that. But surprisingly enough, Galaxy Esports not actually opting to split the map this game. Now, they did invade, typical from Galaxy Esports, who we've seen in practically every game they look to go in. But not going to opt to split the map this game. So Extra Flavor going to get a little bit more safe in this game, get the opportunity to maybe farm a little bit more, which I think he's probably a little bit thankful for. That being said, there's already a fight in the mid lane. Gordon taking a lot of damage, but also doing a lot of damage with all attack. And they're going to roll just away from the queue. Gordon now just taking auto attack after auto attack. And I think Line 6 is really trying to show why he's good on this phase, but not if he can't dodge those queues.
Yeah, you can't dodge the queues. You're going to be so low that even when you roll forward, you're going to offer no pressure because Garnim's just going to go, okay, you're ready for another kill. As we see, the hook got to go wide from Pedro Pietrez. Going to throw it around, that's okay. And Garnim is pushed under tower in the mid lane. But Garnim on this Vel'Koz, he's already proven that he is maybe more prepared for the Vayne mid, as we see in game
level 2 though, and just as we saw last game, Extra Flavor on the flag and drag going in, perfectly timed flash by Extra Flavor, and that's exactly what we want to see, the typical two-dimensional champion that can just hit anything when you need it, and it was really nicely timed, as Gordon's going to pick up first blood for Dynamo New Dawn.
It's crazy. That EQ flash is crazy. I'm sorry, that's such a... I love that Jarvan mechanic. It's so cool.
It really creates a good skill, like a good skill expression on the champion. And line 6 also attacking Garnim under the tower, as we do see the airborne landing like Pedro Pietrez. But not going to be anything further. But yeah, also attacking Garnim to try and thinking that he can escape, and then Extra Flavor just comes in as soon as the auto attack lands, knocks him up, and then line 6 falls. And yeah, first blood to Garnim, and he's now on the board on this Vel'Koz, which is a big positive for Dynamo.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Line 6 playing aggressive yet again. Broken Arrow is going to look to try to do something with an Extra Flavor here, as typical. He's actually going to get hit by the Jarvan, not just yet though, it's going to walk away from the flag and drag. In comes the Charm as well. Line 6 going to demo him into the wall, and Broken Arrow going to pick up a kill. An Extra Flavor being bullied again in the jungle, Atomica.
Yep, and it is again just the lack of Garnim being able to push the wave. But leads to that. Line 6 can push the wave under tower, get the roam off because, you know, Garnim doesn't want to lose the wave, and then Extra Flavor's just in absolute no man's land. Misses the flag and drag over the wall and dies from it.
Yeah, I think you've hit the flag and drag there. It's incredibly important in your escapability there, but unfortunately does actually miss it, unfortunately, which is quite a sad moment, especially when you hit the flag and drag. And do actually manage to hit the perfectly timed flash as well, which I've got to mention isn't the easiest of mechanics to pull off. I know they make it look easy, but if you whiff that just ever so slightly by a second, you're not doing anything there, and you kind of look a little bit silly. But Line 6 is going to maybe not look silly here, just going to walk away from Extra Flavor, going to take a little bit of damage, but Extra Flavor is really looking to just shove Line 6 back every single time he plays aggressive.
Yeah, and probably deservedly so, because line 6 on the Vayne that we last saw, I think, it was crazy, wasn't it?
The solo kill in top lane though, Tomica. Kardasham's picking up a kill onto D Justino, and that is the third time this game that's happened in the early game that Nakabash is going to look to flash in, hits the Q on the floor, the headbutt, and it feels bad moment for all you Alistair players. Ali Potter's crying right now, and it feels bad.
He was definitely sat with his finger hovering over the Q key, ready to watch his champion go flying in. And as soon as Pyke went invisible, he thought he was going flying in and just pressed Q. And it was so sad to watch because it's happened to me so many times as well. But again, as we see Perez getting a little bit of pressure on top of him. But yeah, solo kill in the top lane is, I think it's to be expected in the Camille Galio matchup. Not brilliant for Galio. Not a brilliant matchup at all for Galio.
No, but I think it's been a couple of occasions where we've seen DJ Sino be taken down by KaiserCham. And you're absolutely right, it's the redemption arc for KaiserCham. KaiserCham has been such a dominant force in all 2 games so far, now looking to do exactly the same in game 3, and I really like to see how a player can really just show what they can do on champions that they are comfortable on as well. And I think KaiserCham's doing exactly that, and I really fear for this Vel'Koz, especially with the Evelyn, especially with the Camille. If you cannot get away from any of them, you are in a difficult position. So Gordon has to get his fancy feet on this game, and he really has to make sure he can melt someone before they get to him.
Yeah, he really does. And I mean, Garnham can really only step up as soon as the Camille commits her Hextech ultimatum onto somebody else. So we see Robinator dodging the route very cleanly, and he's got to go engage onto Perez now. Perez got to take a lot of damage, but I don't think any kills are going to come from this, really. But yeah, he has to wait for the Hextech ultimate. Oh, Darker Basher.
And that is incredibly time condemned. Line 6 going to get the kill, and the feet of warfare are going to be claimed here. Broken Arrow going to actually Q onto the perfectly timed hook by Pedro Petrez, and Gordon's going to fall down to Broken Arrow. It's a double kill, and the animation follows the flash for the flash, and Gordon's going to be taken down in the mid lane, and it's a double kill as Kaisersham wants even more blood onto DJ Stino, and it is not looking good for Dynamo New Dawn in this early game.
What was initially a fantastic start for Dynamo New Dawn has just collapsed. Because Jarvan, without the flash, cannot get on top of his feet easily. And then Broken Arrow, I mean, that was a beautiful flashy. Recognizing that it won't be the Q that hits because it can flash away, the E will be the confirm, because E will follow through onto anything that Goranim uses if he uses the flash. And he did use the flash, and he followed through. And then he got the charm, and the flash by Pike came through and shored the kill. And it was just really nice work by Galaxy Esports. And now they take a 2,000 gold lead in the early game with this composition that Dynamo New Dawn really did not want to give this sort of early game lead to.
No, but it looks like this early game lead might just be a little bit further as well. Gordon going to get queued by Pedro Petrez, and just when we said Pedro Petrez will be everywhere, he is exactly that. He is everywhere that you do not want him to be, and line 6 is going to be a dominant force if Pedro Petrez keeps doing his thing.
Yeah, and Pedro Petrez picking up the kill as well, so a big moment for him. He gets a little bit more gold, a little bit more lethality, and honestly, this is just really well played, and a brilliant draft by Galaxy Esports as we see the charm potentially coming down. Steiner knows he's going to manage to escape with the Justice Punch, but it's a brilliant draft by Galaxy Esports. They've really enabled what they've wanted to do. They've basically put their ADC on a mid laner and put their mid laner on an ADC, and Pedro Petrez is now going to utilize the fact that Dynamo New Dawn aren't going to really lane swap. They're going to utilize that fact and really bully this Vel'Koz. As line 6 is going to engage in the mid lane. It looks like it's trading a little bit under tower. Pop in the ultimate as the Cataclysm's going to come down.
Yeah, extra flavor is going to land the Cataclysm to line 6. Line 6 not going to be able to actually roll out of it. The final hour and the ghost being popped as well. The Q just narrowly missed on line 6, but in comes the life form disintegration ray, and down goes line 6. Alistair going to look to engage now as well. Pedro Petrez trying to do everything to stop Alistair from getting the headbutt off, and Robbie Nature, I want to credit him there, perfectly timing the E over the wall and doing really well to just get some sort of different like path almost. But the charm is going to land into Goranim now. Broken Arrow and Pedro Petrez here. Evelyn, but Robbie Nature's going to land, and there is the perfect combo, and a shutdown, and it's a double kill now for Robbie Nature, and that is exactly what we expect to see. We expect to see them capitalise on that. We expect to see them use the combos, and we expect to see the breath of life, the last breath, sorry, being used alongside the Alistair, and Galaxy Esports stepped up a little bit too close there, and Dynamo New Dawn are back in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Robbie Nater on this Yasuo using that last breath as I think line 6 is forcing out the flash.
It's just the commentator curse coming in. We mentioned about Robbie Nater. The line 6 getting a little bit too aggressive, and it's never going to hit. In comes the hero's entrance as well. Extra player going to pick up the kill. The taunt going on to Pedro Petrez here. They don't have the W available just yet. The hunt going out. Actually, going to whip DJ Steiner. The extra player is going to pick up another kill. And Galaxy Esports, just when they get something back, they take it away again.
Yeah, I don't know about that from line 6. I mean, it was a great double kill. Puts himself back on the board with a lot of gold, but it's giving Dynamo New Dawn kills. And yes, you can argue, okay, it's only going on to Jarvan, right? Or it's going on to who else? Yeah, it just went on to Jarvan, right? Oh, it's only going on to Jarvan. Don't worry, guys. No, that's actually terrible because Jarvan is an early game champion. You're giving an early game champion you put behind gold to become even again. He's now going to be an issue. And now we see, like, look in comparison to the items, right? Evelyn, even though it's even in farm, because of the extra assists that Jarvan has had and all the gold they've been feeding towards him, he's got an eclipse. And Evelyn still hasn't got her first item as Robbie Nature and Dark Bash potentially got.
Yeah, Pedro P. is going to land the hook onto Robin Hater. Robin Hater is going to use the last breath of Broken Arrows to be taken down. Extra Flavor is now on a killing spree. The ultimate being used by Pike, but the execute isn't going to take him down. Death below isn't going to be no longer in use. Darkabash now falling low. It's now a double kill for line 6. And we're going to push in the mid lane now. The QB in time, but the taunt is going to actually take down Pedro Pitrez. That's not who you want to be hooking, especially when you're that low. Robin Ace now engaging the line 6, and line 6 is showing his mechanics now. The lifetime disintegration rate is going to be stopped now. Kaisersham does such a good job of stunning him. And a double kill for now for line 6. That is an unofficial quadra kill. And he's not finished just yet. He wants the unofficial pentakill, and he's not going to get it as he just takes another tower shot. And Goran Extra Flavor walks up now, and Gordon walks with the smallest sliver of HP.
And Perez has just been farming in the bot lane, just to point that out. That was a 4v5.
He's playing Farming Simulator right now.
Yeah, no, on a real, that fight was filled with some crazy individual mechanics. You wanted to see some Robbie Nature, especially as Extra Flavor's just got to die here on the contest of the Void Grubs. All 6 grubs going to the side of Galaxy Esports, as has been the story of the series, as Backlash going to ignite, but the Vayne,
line 6, now unstoppable. I mean, does not feel like a bit of a repeat of the last time we saw line 6 in this game? Like, early game playing a little bit too aggro, but as it got towards, starting towards early to mid game transition, we saw line 6 really showing his mechanics, we saw line 6 really becoming a dominant force, and we saw line 6 getting more and more ahead in the game, and that's exactly what's happening here. Really playing around the rest of his team, knows when everyone's available, the comms are picture perfect for them right now. They know line 6 capabilities, they know he can play a little bit aggro because they know what he's capable of, but just when he gets in a sticky situation, the rest of them try to save him.
No, and Pedro Pitrez, I mean, they've just picked the most, slipperiest champs, haven't they? And it means that this combination of Yasuo and Alistar is going to have a really difficult time finding a good engage. And it's just, it feels so bad for Dynamo Nudon because they look like they picked out, or they look like Galaxy Esports, they caught them out. And then they haven't because they're just so slippery and they just escape so easily. And it's going to be difficult.
It's going to be difficult. That being said, not out of it just yet. They do still have a fantastic team right now. Obviously, if they can combo everything and they can hit everything at once, the Hero's Entrance, the Cataclysm, especially if they can keep Vel'Koz alive and keep the life on disintegration rate, just taking down the back line and the front line, because that can really do a lot of damage. But just as I say, that line 6 is now dominating as well. Darkabash is going to get hooked in by Pedro Pitrez, and it's not looking good now for this Just Dino, as Kaisersham is going to ult down, and in comes the Hextech Ultimatum, and he's now not finishing. In comes Death from below, the Pike is here to play. He's going down into Perez. Perez now going to be knocked into air as Robbie Nater picks up a kill onto Pedro Pitrez for a return kill, trying to get something from this game, and it's chaos everywhere.
It's chaos everywhere, but again, guess who the chaos favors? It's Galaxy Esports, and it is so... I don't know, it's it just seems like every fight that we don't take, it's just so sad, and that's a brilliant... Oh wait, hang on, they win.
It's going to win though, perfectly timed now as well, it's just in time. The Mel comes out to play, and in comes out the Ghost in the final hour being popped. The Condemn, unfortunately, knocking the Jarvan away. Extra Flavor says thank you very much as he's condemned as he flagged him dragged over the wall. But DJ Steiner's then out to engage as well. The W has been popped, the taunt, but no one's there to follow up on it just yet. Goran and Extra Flavor only just arriving now. But in comes Pedro Pitrez as well, and Dynamo Nudon are forced to walk away. And I feel like that story has been said a few times now, where Dynamo Nudon haven't had anyone to capitalise, and they just had to walk away at every opportunity.
Yeah, and it just is it's... I don't really know what's happening for Dynamo New Dawn. Things happen on the map, and it feels like 3 out of the 5 players recognise what's happening on the map, and then the other 2 are half a second behind. And it leads to these weird scenarios where Galaxy Esports can just get the kills to get
here comes the last breath though, the headbutt timing, but it doesn't matter. Pedro Pitrez going to walk away, and he's 3/4 HP again, Atomica. And unfortunately, I think that's going to be the story to this game. It's just, you said it yourself, you don't know what's happening, and I don't think the communication's quite there. There's another fight though in the mid lane though, Thomas. I'm going to stop you again because Darkabath has been caught out. A death from below comes flying in and down goes the cow. And it's a story that is being told on a few occasions. Dynamo New Dawn are in a difficult position. They're caught out, and Galaxy Esports are not afraid to capitalise on that. They know when they can take you out. They know when you overstep, and they love to do that.
Yeah, and again, it is just Galaxy Esports picking a composition that on paper should not be doing anything in the early game, and still, all the chaos that they've caused is all for them. And every single fight, even ones that look bad, have just benefited.
Yeah, and this might be a prime example right here. Goran might be thrown into the Hextech Ultimatum. He's going to get the shutdown, but there's another fight in the top lane now as well. Extra Flavor is going to take a lot of damage from this Vayne. Vayne going to have to walk away now. In comes the Flash W as well, but line 6 is not godlike. As the Galleon goes down, the taunt hits, but no one's there to capitalise. The airborne's going to hit, but Vayne's invisible. Doesn't actually have the ability to capitalise on his Robbie Nater. As the Vayne finally will pop the flag and drag going down, but it's not going to hit. And line 6 is unstoppable in this game.
He's 10-3, and it's the story of the same time that they picked the Vayne in the last game. This Vayne just getting so far ahead that even if you get a pick or two from the side of Dynamo New Dawn, you're still pressing tab and staring down a 10-3 Vayne who is a well-known hyper carry. Right, not like a Jinx where it's good position that wins you the games, but it's a different kind of hyper carry in which good mechanics can win you the game. And we've seen time and time again that Line 6 does have those mechanics to carry the game. And I have such a faith Dynamo New Dawn that this could be their last game.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's looking that way as the Rift Herald is going to be handed over to Galaxy Esports. Pedro Petres saying no to Extra Flavor. Every opportunity he looks to try to steal a Drake. Every time he looks to try and get something out of it. Unfortunately, he's been forced away by Pedro Petres, but Kaisercham now in a difficult position. As a lifelong disintegration ray, he's actually going to disintegrate Kaisercham. Kaisercham looking to get an advantage bot lane, but it doesn't matter because the Rift Herald's being popped in top lane. Broken Arrow is going to charge down your tower, and looks like the rest of Dynamo New Dawn are going to switch to the other side of the map now. The top tower being taken down, a tier 3 being handed over to Galaxy Esports, and they're looking to get an engage of that as well. Goran being charmed, he's not going to be picked up just yet. The hook hitting onto DJ Steiner, and Steiner's not going to be able to any taunt just yet. Mel poking everyone back. The inhibitor's being handed over any second now, and I wonder if Dynamo New Dawn are going to engage. I'm not going to get the chance to, because in comes the hook, and Pedro Petres throws the death from below. Goran now going to fall, and the Ease execute comes out. Line 6 now legendary. Darkabasha, I'm sorry, but the unbreakable wall is definitely breakable, and you're not going to be able to escape line 6 because it's absolute domination.
Yeah, and you see Extra Flavor and Robbie Nater doing the Drake, but I think it's just their basing, but it's too little too late. As Galaxy Esports have dominated this series from start to finish, taking a well-deserved 3-0. Dynamo New Dawn on the day had no response to what Galaxy Esports offered, as actually they might.
Double kill, and Perez and Pedro Petres going to be forced to walk away. The rest of Dynamo New Dawn are now actually up. Kaisercham's here, but I'm sorry, the rest of your team is dead, and Robbie Nater might have saved them just yet, Atomica, and it definitely looked like it was ending, but no, Galaxy Esports got a little bit too aggressive.
Yeah, agreed. I completely wrote off Robbie Nater, and I should not do that ever again. Robbie Nater with the hero play, taking 2 of them down with him. I think it was line 6 and Broken Arrow he took down with him. And that meant that the only people left to try and take the inhibitor was the slow attack speed of Pedro Petres and Mel, who does no damage to that Nexus whatsoever. They don't have the items for it, dealing no damage. And as well, I think it was just split decision from the team of Galaxy Esports. Some of them had the glory in their eyes of taking the kills and then the game, and others just wanted to take the game. And as we praised Galaxy Esports throughout the early game for their constant communication and their community, clearly they're all on the same page. When it comes to ending the game, they're not on the same page.
No, definitely not, because Kaisercham might be in another difficult position here, and he's going to get caught out. The lifelong disintegration ray not doing enough damage just yet, though. Going to walk up to line 6 and just going to walk away from Dynamo New Dawn. And there's been a couple of times where Dynamo New Dawn thought the next thing. Really trying to do anything. They are going to make one there, however, as there is the last breath being used along with the flag and drag. That is the knock-up you want, but it's now not available for another 20 seconds. Robbie Nater is going to not doing enough damage just yet. The DJ Steiner again trying to land a W, but line 6 is popping the final hour. Perez is now on a killing spree. Pedro Pichot's in a difficult position. It doesn't matter because line 6 is doing so much damage. Darkabash are going to throw in, and in comes the Unbreakable Will. Broken Arrow now deep in the depths of Dynamo New Dawn. Extra Flavors on a killing spree now. Combination knocks him in the air though. But Broken Arrow's falling low now as well. Pedro's on a rampage. The reflect comes out, and Dynamo New Dawn are holding on for dear life.
I want to know how that works because Galaxy Esports looked like they had that fight in the bag. It was free hits galore for line 6, and the rest of Galaxy Esports as Pedro Petres dragged essentially every member of Dynamo New Dawn to him. However, as soon as they were able to turn together and form a coherent front-to-back team fight, which is very weird to say with a Yasuo on board, Galaxy Esports just crumbled. They literally just crumbled one by one. They just looked like they didn't know what they were doing, and they were all completely caught out, completely unawares. And the only people that survived were Perez, and I think it was literally just Perez. Pedro Petres fell, and they did it with that, but they had no Drake. They have no Drake to have a extra bonus for. So this Atacon is worthless.
They do have something now to maybe go get the Drake. The Drake is now up and available. It will be the power Drake possible to take now. But you mentioned about how line 6 didn't get free hits there, and I've really got to give credit to Darkabasher. Darkabasher popped the Unbreakable Will and was just solely on top of the Vayne the whole entire fight. That was his one singular mission, was to have the Unbreakable Will, stun at any opportunity, headbutt, knock in the air, and he did such a good job of just locking down line 6 every opportunity, and I've really got to give credit there, because in comes Dynamo New Dawn trying to do something. The Dragon's not going to hit, but I'm sorry, Extra Fire lost so much damage coming out from Galaxy Esports. The Hero's entrance landing, the Arrow's going to dash out though as well. The Parent's going to impact the efficiency, and Extra Flame is going to be taken down as Sounds the golden eclipse. It's a double kill now for line 6. Ninja Steiner are falling low. Pedro Petres, the Jack from below comes in. In comes the Hexagon Circle as well. But Pedro Petres is going to pick up overkill. But he's not finished just yet as line 6. As Robin 8 is going to be taken down. But down goes line 6, and that is going to be game 3 being handed over to Galaxy Esports. It looks promising. Dynamo New Dawn nearly saves the day, but the series is going to go to Galaxy Esports as they advance on in this incredible series. And wow, that was phenomenal, Tomica.
Yeah, brilliant last fight for Galaxy Esports. They really got their stuff together after that Atacon. Played the very basic front to back. Extra Flavor tried to go in, and Goronim couldn't follow through with that Lifeform Disintegration Ray. Just too much pressure on the team, and they were just too far behind. And in the end, Galaxy Esports take a very thoroughly deserved 3-0 today. Obviously, the last time that we casted them, they reverse swept, but thoroughly deserved 3-0 today. And they're looking even stronger with each game played. And it's going to be interesting to see who they face next in this lower bracket, because it's going to be a very, very good series.
Yeah, and you'd really hope that maybe the next team to play Galaxy Esports can look to maybe capitalise on their slight aggression in the early game. Can they do anything? Can they stop them from being so dominant? Can they stop line 6? Can they stop Broken Arrow? And I've really, really got to say, Dynamo New Dawn put up a good fight. They'd had so many opportunities to take the game. There was a few chances where they had it in their hands, but unfortunately, Galaxy Esports showed how dominant they can be, and it's a 3-0 series for Galaxy Esports. And they could be the team to beat, but we'll find out soon. And please stay tuned with us for the next series that happens, because it's going to be incredible no matter what. I've been Hampy.
I have been Atomica.
And thank you very much for watching.